This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good afternoon, and welcome to a special edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. I'm sitting next to the man who's been on BTL a number of times. That's your claim to fame, isn't it?
Well, it's one of, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's going to be it right now. Okay, Matt? That's it.
Rick Pierce of Bass Cat Boats. Always enjoy when Rick comes on the show. Unique perspective. We're going to dive into maybe some of your perspectives right now, because I would like to hear from someone who has been there, done that, and then you've also been on the ground floor of everything, basically in the entire revolution of bass boats and technology and all that. But we are in Mountain Home, Arkansas, home of Bass Cat Boats, and pretty much the birthplace of bass boats in general. For someone who's never been to, because you have to want to come here. Like, you don't pass through Mountain Home, Arkansas, like going across the country.
Yeah. I tell people you got to be coming to see us to come see us. Because you didn't just
100%.
jump off the interstate.
A little bit closer like that. Here we go. There we go.
We got to get the mic here.
No, we're good. Yeah. For someone who's watching this, who's never been to this region of the country, the White River, where Forest Wood, where the Pierces were Bass Cat, there's Vexus and all sorts of crazy. And how many boats? Just name what all comes out of this little 50-mile region of the country.
There's been a lot of boats here. Of course, the birthplace of this was I got a cool story. Stories.
Yeah, that's why I got you on the show. It helps when you have someone who likes to tell stories and you get them on a podcast. That kind of makes the podcast.
So I got an IM the other day on my LinkedIn from a guy, and he wanted to know how much I knew. He had Googled Kinsey Baird.
Okay.
And he wanted to know how much I could help him, because he's restoring Kinsey Baird's 1966 Cadillac.
I don't know who Kinsey Baird is.
He's the guy that started all this. So everything in the Twin Lakes area, North Arkansas, that's boats and bass fishing and all that, Kinsey Baird built the first fiberglass boats in the mid-1950s out of Flippin, Arkansas.
Okay.
And all these fiberglass trout boats, these 20-foot trout boats, the little V-bottom tillers, those were all Kinseys.
So did he start with the bass or the trout boats?
He started with basically the V-bottom, and then jumped over, because they were building wooden trout boats, and jumped over and built wooden trout boats. His wife was from the Flippin area, and they moved back here because he was an aircraft engineer from California.
Okay.
And wound up in Kansas and wound up back in Arkansas. And Kinsey is a guy that brought fiberglass to North Arkansas.
Really?
Really?
It just so happened that he was in North Arkansas, and that's how it became.
Yeah. He hired a guy who we give a lot of credit to, one guy who has started a multitude of companies, worked for all of them at some point in time. And he's no longer with us, but I gave credit to him back in 2015. And that's a guy named Hubert Parnell.
Okay.
And Hubert was an original employee of Kinsey. Matter of fact, I have a picture of my computer, and it runs on my screen background, and it's a 1956 picture.
Wow.
Of Hubert and Kinsey and his wife. I believe her name was Ada, and Kinsey's wife and Hubert and Kinsey all inside looking at a hull, basically, and it was ran in the Arkansas Democrat at the time, and it was in the History of Archives. And it's a picture of those three inside of what then was Kinsey Boats. And Kinsey started actually in Flippin in a building that I didn't know exactly where it was. So I got a little help from that from Hubert's son, inside of what is now Diego's Mexican restaurant.
Wow. So can go to Diego's Mexican restaurant and be inside where it all started.
Where it all started.
That's cool. How often do you go there?
I don't go there very often. It's downtown Flippin. They actually are pretty good. But yes, that's what it was. Yeah.
So then how did the rest of the boat companies end up here as well? Did they use, like, how did that work? Like, why didn't people just go, oh, okay, I'm going to go start that in Alabama or Georgia?
Well, of course, Forrest spun off. And when Forrest spun off, Kinsey was a very good man, good friend of mine. I caught Kinsey, I think he was 94 at the time. I went over there to Flippin, and I came by and I stopped and Kinsey, get off the roof.
At 94.
At 94.
That's how my dad is with the Thanksgiving wreaths.
You gotta
He's
hear this.
He's 79 now, and he still climbs up and puts the Thanksgiving wreaths up. And I'm like, dude, like, just wait till I come home for Thanksgiving. We'll do it.
Yeah, Kinsey had an RV barn next door where he kept his RV.
Okay.
And he is on top of it, power washing it.
At 94.
At 94.
That's awesome.
And I said, get off the roof. Come on, Kinsey, get off the roof.
That's awesome. So, but then Forrest was with Kenzie?
No, Forrest actually started on his own. He started downtown Flippin originally and behind what is now the City Hall area. But when he started, he went over and visited with Kinsey. And this is Kinsey telling the story. This is not Forrest telling the story. But Kinsey said, I sent 2 guys over there. One of them still works there. And basically, he sent 2 guys over to Forrest, and he let Forrest hire them, basically.
Okay.
And if you go back and look at Garland Hurst in some of the articles, Doc Hurst, as some people will know Doc Hurst, that was Garland Hurst, which is Rick Hurst's father. And Rick, as his dad, Doc, everybody knew him as Doc Hurst, but Garland Hurst. And Garland gives a lot of credit to Kinsey because he started with Kinsey, and then Forrest had an opportunity to move over with Forrest.
Okay. And then your dad.
My dad's a plastics engineer is what he was.
Okay. Just in this area, or how?
No,
so
he
that's what I'm
actually-
saying. Like, well, I'm trying to get to the point of like how I understand how.
Well, Dad had built boats in high school, so he had built kit boats in high school, runabout type kit boats. Okay.
Wait, here?
No, actually in Oklahoma. We were originally now family.
I knew that.
We've got a there's a funeral plot. Matter of fact, we just had a conversation about it not long ago with somebody else. A lot of my family is from this area, and so right over Marion County actually is where our family was from.
Okay.
And so we kind of wound up back home by accident because Dad was a plastics engineer. He worked for Phillips Petroleum Company in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. We went to Pryor and wound up with him not liking what was happening in Pryor. So he got an opportunity with Baxter Traven All Labs in Mountain Home, and we moved to Mountain Home in the early 60s.
Okay.
And so basically by mid-60s, we were in Shinshin Mountain Home. And he loved fishing. My grandfather was a fisherman. I've told this story before. Yep. Actually, I think I told it on Bass Live, but he's the one. My grandfather's the one that got us all into fishing. Mm-hmm. And then my mom's dad. And then after that, Dad loved to build boats. And through starting bass fishing and being around it, he just wound up wanting to build boats. And he started building what basically was a spin-off to what everybody built in the cigar boat, which is what's sitting in front of us right now.
So sitting in front of us, and we'll get into where we are. What we're
that's
doing,
good.
Is the number one.
It is the first boat Dad built. Yes, we restored it. We've had it. We did a cat hunt in 2012, I believe. And then we did a cat hunt, got back the couple out of the mid-Missouri, Springfield area, Republic. And basically, we got the boat back with the original boat, the original engine, original trailer. And the program in the cat hunt, we ran in Bassmaster.com, ran it on Bassmaster magazine. If you had the original boat, we were going to give you a Margay, which was era type competitive. And if you had the original 115, we'd give you a 115, which we knew it wasn't a 115, but we knew it was 135. So we kind of knew that. It had the right motor on it. If you had the trailer, we gave you a trailer. Whatever we had, whatever you had.
You just wanted that first boat and wanted them to stay in a cat.
Right.
Okay, so that's all loosely related, but also a little bit independent, and a little bit kind of fortuitous circumstance that all these companies kind of ended up in this neck of the woods.
The root of all of it was Hubert.
Yep.
So Hubert he worked for us. Same story.
Yep.
Dad looks at Kinsey, says, hey, I'm starting a boat company. He has hired a guy that's local, and I met him at a funeral of a friend of ours that was actually a former employee of ours. And he had died of illness. And I met the original first employee of Bass Cat there again. And he said, you don't remember me? I said, yes, I do. And reminded him I did know who he was. And he worked for a couple of weeks for the company. And then Dad was without anybody, and he was still working a job. We owned a drive-in restaurant at the time. And Dad got turned around and went over to see Kinsey and said, hey, I'm looking for something. Do you know anybody? And just like Kinsey did before. He said, just take Hubert.
And there you go. And that's how
Yeah,
a
that's
lot of
how it all
stuff ended
happened.
up. Because every time I come to the Bass Cat Factory, I'm always like, how did all of these bass boat companies end up in this geographical location on the roads that are like the worst to get trucks and boats around
Yeah,
in like all of the country?
Yeah, we're in the middle of North Arkansas, and it's 2.5 hours to an airport. Yeah, I got it.
It is. We are at registration for, I want to say, the 37th annual off the top of my head.
That's correct.
Have you been to all 37 of these?
I ran all but this one.
So this is the first one that you haven't like been completely 100. Is it
I'm
nice
not
to be able
engaged
to
in
just,
everything here.
is that nice?
You know, when you
Well, I know you like to.
I want to be in the middle of
You're a
it, but you know,
hands-on
it's
guy.
time to change the room, so to speak, and get new chairs in place, and that's what we're doing. And so we've got Matt Looney coming in, being the tournament director this year. Barton's going to be the weighmaster. I'm going to probably do a little bit of on-stage work, which I haven't done in years, and I'm going to launch boats as I always do. So I got a little history on that, and I've done it all. I've let Kevin Short launch 1 year at Beaver, and he launched 1 year here. I actually watched it from the bridge. They didn't know I was there. I said, we're going to see what happens when I don't show up in the morning like I
I think how
overslept.
Jeffries did it when I took over BTL.
No, he slept in late.
He was like kind of didn't want me to know he was around, but I like talked to people like, yeah, Jeffries called around asking how you been doing, like when I first started. So he was still hands on. That's how you guys relate to that. But
Well, I was actually watching from the bridge, and they's like, man, you slept in. No, I was watching.
so talk about why the owners tournament is important to Cat. I know you guys are expected over 300 boats. You typically have 300 boats. It's an annual thing for Bass Cat owners. A lot of different companies have a lot of them. This one is a lot of history behind this. The original. Do you remember like how you guys came up with the concept of having a tournament for anybody who owns one?
Yeah, my dad always wanted to do this, and of course, you know, it was something he wanted to do years and years ago. And I said, let's just start and see where it goes. And so we started with a state event. He wasn't big into it, so we started with a little state event down at Greer's Ferry, and we went down there a couple of years. The third year, I took Dad down there, and we did the little state event with a dozen boats or whatever, and 20 boats. And I said, hey, we're going to spin this out. So, we're going to hold a big one. So we held the big one. We were expecting to have 100, 125 boats, and we wound up with 247.
Holy, the first one. So you had twice as many boats
as we planned on.
Wow.
We had a little armory over here, and they'd done some work on it. Armory was smaller than the room we're sitting in, and we had roughly 500 people trying to get in it to eat barbecue. And they had put a shooting range in the back corner and taken out part of the armory, so you didn't have access to the whole thing. And they had just done that just before the event, so we didn't know that. So we'd had no room. It was pouring down rain. It was last weekend of February. It was cold, wet. Gosh, what a memory.
87?
Yeah. Terry Davidson Blaine Ranch won it. Yeah.
And then it's just been a deal ever since. And in order to fish it, you have to, you
own a Bass Cat boat with your registration name.
But here's the cool thing. It doesn't have to be a 2024. It doesn't have to be a 2023. It doesn't have to be a 2000. It doesn't have to be a 1990, a 1980. Like if you have a Bass Cat, you're in.
You're in.
And having seen pictures of it, I've never attended one, and I'm headed to a Bassmaster Open tomorrow, so I won't get to attend this one. But having seen pictures of it, there are people who come in like everything. 40, 50-year-old cats, right? Like, do you remember some of your favorite cats that like typically come that are like some of the older?
Yeah, my favorite one that showed up was years ago, and it came out, and it was a custom painted I'd done. It was custom gel coat. And I mean, it's truly custom, just like we did in the 70s, custom murals type and stuff.
Oh, like actual painted?
It was done in gel, but it's done airbrush work. And so that was one of my favorites.
Do they do that anymore?
No.
I've never even seen that.
No, but it was airbrush work. So we did airbrush work in the mold, and that was one of the favorite ones to see dig out and surprise you.
Wait, so you would do the deal, and then you would airbrush it, and then you would gel coat over that? We
airbrushed the tint coat into the mold and then flaked it.
Pictures, designs, drawings, whatever you wanted.
Diamond-esque designs and fades and stuff like that.
Why hasn't that come back?
It's a lot of work.
Okay, here, let me ask you this. I just had a chat with this. Who did I have on the show? It was like 2 days ago, and I said I find it interesting, and you'll have an answer as to why. you look at like the cigarette boats and a lot of other boats, and they're all flat colors or solid colors. You don't see a lot of like gel coat with sparkle and flakes in them. Some you do, but primarily you get into bass boat, which is, a lot of good old boy, man, like all the sparklier the better. How did the bass boats become like what was it where people were like, you know what I want? Jim, I want that. You know what, Rick, I want that bass cut boat to be the sparkliest boat on the lake. Is that not seem crazy when you
But
think about it?
you go back to the old sleek crafts and Speedmasters from the 60s and 70s. They didn't flake in custom California style, and that was kind of the theory. Everybody wanted custom, right? So you go
Okay.
back to the old sleek craft tunnel boats, not even tunnel boats. They weren't tunnel boats, but they have big blown superchargers on a 396 or whatever, and those guys would have flake boats. So a lot of that spun out of that California custom type stuff, and that's where flake came from. It came out of the speedboat market.
Okay. And
So-
then it stuck with, but I don't understand why the guys with bass boats did. You would think somewhere along the line, guys would be like, I don't know if I want something that sparkly on the lake. Like I'm going to get made fun of at the club. But then it went the opposite way.
I think the ego got in the way.
Because like the one, the Puma that I pick it up, I literally said I want it to hurt when you look at it. And I've seen a picture of it, and it's like every color of like the chrome and the dye, like it's like sparkles on sparkles on sparkles. And
So
I'm
were
like,
you looking like to be Japanese or what?
yeah. But I just wondered if there was a reason, because I also thought that might have been like, you're putting bass boats in areas where they can get scratched and you're rubbing up against docks and trees and stuff.
That's an
gel
interesting
coat.
concept, because when the flakes first started in the 70s, it was really a little harder to sell them into Texas
Okay.
and Millwood areas. The Millwood, Texas, and that area were really hard to sell flakes. Toledo Bend, tough lake at the time, very timber-esque, and you got all those lakes in Texas that were full of timber. Millwood at the time was just flooded timber, flooded woods. So those guys down there tended to go with straight gel coat more.
Okay.
But then we started drifting, and then especially the market around Missouri and Illinois, that was a growing market at the time. They tended to want the sparkle. So it kind of bloomed out of that, And so Missouri, Illinois, believe it or not, Oklahoma, North Oklahoma and Northeast Oklahoma, that was definitely one that wanted the flake.
Mhm.
And of course, North Arkansas the same way, because they were built here. And so everybody kind of spun in. And I think that once the flake started, it just took off.
So it's really just a trend. There's no functional purpose for it. It's just a
They
trend
just-
that took off, and that's what people wanted, and it's never gone away.
That's right. I tell you what it does do is it wasn't so much in the 70s, but it is today. And we're seeing a trend back to colors now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Notice that.
yeah, and I think that colors are fine, white's fine, but when you get into some of the colors, the durability of clear is really good on UV. So I think the flakes tend to be a little more durable in the sunshine. So we're
Okay.
seeing some of that being more considered today. So we're taking it from an era of the 70s to there now. And in between, there's pretty cool things with trends, because you see color trends. So anybody older will remember that in the 70s, we built a lot of tan and brown trucks.
Okay.
And so in that period of that era, we were doing 2 tan browns or brown color mix to all the other colors.
Really?
Yeah, and we saw the same thing when the jade teal colored trucks came out in the 90s.
Yep.
So you can kind of track trends. And, Royal Blues had a trend. They all have trends. And, the die-hard colors are the charcoal blacks and reds. And
Yeah.
those they're
But you
there
have
all
a
the
lot
time.
of unique colors that are standards in cat. Like I feel like you see a lot more cats that have some purple in it, or a lot more cats that have that kind of lighter blue hue in it.
Yeah, we
and
do have.
It's interesting because you don't see the other brands like that. Like those are like kind of signature colors. Is that fair? Am I right on that?
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do, it spun out of like I said, the Japanese market. The Japanese could get pretty crazy on colors.
Okay.
And so those are the craziest color combos we've ever done will be going to Japan, because it's just a different environment, a different culture. So, your guy coming through the shop might see a purple boat or see it online
Mhm.
through the Facebook
Say, I
site.
want that.
Yeah, that's not bad. I want that.
All right.
So we get more of it.
Favorite color of boat that, and you already know, you talked about that custom one that you did with the airbrush, but like, what is your favorite color of boat over all of the years? Like, if you had to look at one cat the rest of your life, what color is it?
Huh. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm a red guy.
Okay.
I like red and whites. The one I have now I really like. I actually like. We've got a color called Midnight Mist.
Okay.
It's a black with a little silver mix in it and some other colors. And I like Midnight Mist, and I really like the Vicious Lime trim.
Okay, so that's the pop.
Yeah, I like the Vicious Lime. I like the white top. So I like the Midnight Mist white and the Vicious Lime. So that's kind of my cool color deal. If I wanted a cool color, that's my wife's favorite too, so that helps.
What color's your cat now?
Mine's a red and white one now. Okay.
Yeah, that's classic. Like when I came in and Jeffries was like, I was trying to get my first boat. I was like, what do I get? He's like, resale red. He goes,
Yeah.
you're in Oklahoma, it's sooner. He goes, red and silver and white. He goes, you'll always be able to sell that
Well,
a boat that's red.
I tell the guys at the shop, when you're building a new model, you're doing photo work, there's 3 colors you can build. You know what they are?
Blue, gray, silver, like
No, they're red, or red.
oh. You got me on that one.
Henry Ford, you know?
Yeah, just because it pops and it looks
Yeah,
good.
it's a snap
Well,
on
it's like
camera.
like a red Corvette.
Well, it's like
right?
the blue boat behind us. It snaps. The blue's good, red's good. So you get that snap, and that's what you've got to have on camera. So when you build a new one, you kind of want to get that pop. So a lot of people notice when we're doing a first boat, first model, it'll be red, and that's why.
Yeah, Pete pointed out there, Upshaw has that lime color. Now, I don't know, I haven't seen his new one yet, but I think it's a detriment because he put that green driver's console. It literally is like a beacon of light on the water in the opens. If Upshaw's within 6 miles, everybody can just see that chartreuse driver's console.
Yeah, so the last year I fished Sirius was like 94.5 right before the switch to 250 rated. So we ran 150s, and I ran an Era. And that was my last really serious year. And that was basically that Vicious Lime, but it was Kawasaki green, apple green, whatever you want to call it. And I had an apple green boot, and that was before wraps. And I had dark blue sides. And so my dad gave me a hard time over that color. And I mean, he built some atrocious colors himself. But I wanted everybody to see it. I wanted it to be known, and we didn't have wraps in, right? So Dad came in, and I was going to build it, sold it, and I was going to build a new one. He says, well, you're not building another one of those green boats. And I said, listen, that boat's been all over the country, and people have seen me everywhere I went, and they've told me they saw me in places I never was because they don't remember where they saw me, but they remember they saw you. And I figure if I lit a match to that boat in the parking lot, it's paid for.
I'm looking at, you're right about the brown. Like a lot of the boat companies, that whole, I just thought it was because there wasn't many colors, but that was the trendy color.
It was the color then. It was matching the trucks because everybody had a tan and
You
brown
don't see
truck in
many
the 70s.
tan boats these days. Like
We-
brown boats, tan boats.
Yeah, we had a little run with it last year, believe it or not, for a couple of weeks, and then it kind of went away. But we did have a little run with tans and browns and nutmegs for a couple of weeks last year. But it's really just short term. I mean, it was in and out.
All right, let's get back. Like I said, so we are set up in we're at the fairgrounds actually.
Yeah, we are. Baxter
And
County Fairgrounds.
You have mount companies and you have Bass Cat Apparel, and what all do we have going on here?
Well, we've got the Johnson outside, so we've got all of the Johnson outside with Humminbird and Minn Kota, and Troy and Jay are outside. We've got Cornfield Crappie. We've got Lucas is set up. If you're coming to fish a tournament, they've got fuel additive for everybody. Lucas sponsor. We've got Yum Products, which is on display over here, and then we've got. Of course, you know, we don't have a motor but we're Mercury this year, of course, with a product. And then we've got the 2 display boats on display that are the giveaways, one for first place, one for a drawing with a Puma STS to draw tomorrow
you're
night.
drawing a Puma STS.
Complete rig Puma STS.
So if you're in the tournament and you're fishing it, you can go out at 0 and still go home with
we draw down tomorrow night. So to keep everybody from hanging to the end, tomorrow night at the high school, we'll draw down 3 out of every flight and 3 out of the bulk left. And so we'll draw roughly 15 paddles tomorrow night.
All right. Do you guys do the ducks?
Every day.
Okay, so
25 rubber
walk through
ducks.
kind of the tournament experience, because I know all the cat owners that I talk to, it's kind of like a yearly thing. It's not just the come and try to win money. It's they build their year around this tournament.
Now, there's a lot of people that started here five to 7 days ago. They've been here for over a week at the
And it's on Norfork.
Right.
And it has kind of bounced around.
Well, we've been to Rayburn a couple times, and we've been to Gunnersville, and we've done Beaver a couple times, and we did Bull Shoals once. But other than that, so you take those basically 7 events out of it.
Yep.
There's been 30 of them on Norfork, and
Okay.
Norfork's where it started. It's home. It's easy. And believe it or not, the owner's base has always tended to want to be on Norfork. They just enjoy coming to Norfork. The year we went to Bull Shoals, everybody said, "Well, we wish it was back on Norfork."
Okay. Have at it then.
Yeah,
But you guys do a bunch of cool stuff. Not only the boat. Don't you guys like put like stuff out on the water and all
Yeah,
that?
we put out ducks every day. So we do 25 rubber ducks. This is the original rubber duck experience. And let me tell you, 37 years ago, you could not get a rubber duck.
Explain how that whole thing started. Was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay, explain
So,
what it is,
the
because I
first
guarantee
year-
most people don't know what they're talking about.
Well, then there's a lot of people that do it now, the rubber duck
Yep.
thing. I mean, it's not just us anymore. You charity people doing it. They're dropping rubber duck races on rivers for charity. They're dropping rubber ducks out of airplanes and you name it, So a lot of things spun out of that. But, 37 years ago, I tried to find rubber ducks, and they just weren't made.
Yeah, but how did you come up with the idea of, hey, let's put some rubber ducks on the lake, and if you find it, you win a prize?
Well, we couldn't get them, so we wound up using bobbers.
Okay, so you put big red and white bobbers,
Got the biggest red and white bobber you could get for your rod.
and you just went out on a boat and tossed it around the lake.
25 bobbers the first year.
Okay.
The next year, we had to order the rubber ducks because nobody made them. They had to make them with something.
Yeah.
So we had to order the rubber ducks from a rubber duck company a year in advance.
Okay.
So we ordered them it was 6 months, but it was 6 months in advance just to get rubber ducks. So you're ordering, and you had to get 100 of them because that was a minimum order.
Okay.
So we got 100 rubber ducks, which sets us up for that year, and then sets us up for the next year. And the next year, and eventually got to where they forced us, because Walmart's was buying them now. We had to buy them through Walmart. So we'd call Walmart and order our rubber ducks. And today you can get rubber ducks. Everybody's ducking Jeeps. Everybody's ducking, You get your duck in your Jeep.
What is it? Just like apparel and stuff, or what do the ducks have on it? Cash money?
Rods, power pole, trolling motors.
Oh, like big prizes.
Yeah, no, last year and this year because things have changed and motors are hard to come by. We always did a 150 Mercury. This year we don't have a 150 Mercury, but for years and years and years, the second day, one of the rubber ducks was a 150 Mercury.
So would you have teams that would just hope that they draw the boat and then drive around and look for ducks?
A lot of people second day look for ducks. Yeah, they look for ducks, and ducks are quite valuable.
You do that on the opens, Rick. How much funner would that be?
I'm not ssure we'd all play, man. It gives some of us,
After you just
hey,
have
the
a
way I
brutal
fished the
first
last
day.
few, it'd give me something to do.
Well, no, like at Santee Cooper, I'd have been on a duck hunt for
Yeah.
8 hours on day 2.
That's the way it was.
They've got either like you get your entry fee back if you find a duck, and they put 5 of them out.
We'd all be searching our
We'd all
entry
be
fee.
searching around for an $1,800.
The way I fish, that's what I need to do. But,
That's how it was for me the last
But
one.
I told you, I said I'm not fishing for second place out there now.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about a couple more things that we haven't talked about. You mentioned it before the last time you were on BTL, and I think it's a great representation if you look behind us on the screen. Like here, you've got your trolling motor. It looks like on this model, there's 2 9-inch grafts and the foot pedal. We've talked a lot, and Bass came up with a tech committee this year to determine as far as inches. But you've mentioned and talked about the weight on the bow of a boat and how that has changed as technology has evolved. And I'm an angler, and the guys that I've talked to, and in all the circles that I've been in, I think Harold Allen is the only one that has mentioned weight on the bow of the boat. The rest of us just want to put as much as we can up there and see what fits. You have talked to me about it, and I think you mentioned it on the show, as to what a challenge that is to put 60 pounds on the front when all this stuff is not designed or tested or run with the 60 pounds up front.
Yeah, nothing we run today is designed to be run that way. Now, there's definitely developments, and we had the opportunity, obviously, with Puma STS to work on that some, to where we could actually work on the STS hulls and try to get the weight to be a factor, because we knew it was coming at that point. But, you go back, and everybody forgets what we put to boats in the last 17 years, because really, power poles kind of came in about 2000. They came in earlier than that.
And then they went away, and then they came back.
Yeah,
right?
but they kind of came in hard at 2007 line and stayed with us. You're right. They came and went, but they didn't really get stuck. And today we've got everything from crappie brakes to
Yeah.
to you name it. And,
4 graphs up front, 3 graphs. I mean, you take a mount. The mount sometimes.
and
weigh
we've gone
15,
from
20.
45 and 42 pound trolling motors to where trolling motors weigh 75 or 82 pounds. And so there's just a lot of weight been added to the product. I mean, everybody's got a preference, and I like a lot of the trolling motors, and for different reasons. There's a lot of good trolling motors, but trolling motors and bow electronics, and I talked one time on show about back in the 90s. I had one that the transducer weighed 5 pounds, and it was original side imaging transducer I talked about that time, and the transducer weighed 5 pounds. Well, that 5 pounds on the bow of that particular boat was 2 miles an hour.
Wow.
And that particular boat. Now, I didn't reset everything, but I just wanted to know if I just pull it off, what do I gain? Well, I gained 2 miles an hour.
Wow.
And so the weight's a factor. You can lower the engine. So everybody's, weight's performance. Let's just I don't care whether it's a race car. I don't care whether it's your personal car. I don't care if it's a boat. If you put more weight in it, it's not going to be as quick.
So right now, what do you think? I don't care what brand of boat a guy's got. How much do you think guys are losing performance and top end speed wise? The average guy, let's just do 2 12-inch graphs, or a mount and a new trolling motor. Are we talking 5-6 miles an hour?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Oh, yeah. No doubt. I'll tell you what's amazing to me, and this is, I go for this whole era, and an era is my favorite boat, but and obviously that's a performance boat. It's strokes, but anyway, the thing is that it's amazing to me how we've gone from accepting boats. Nobody would have accepted in our brand a boat that I got guys. I'm only running 78. Well, my buddy's boat runs 81. Why does my boat run only 78? And it's amazing to me to the change that where some of the tour guys are running 64.
Yeah, you would be. Sorry, I'm working on this. My producer didn't show up today.
Matt's doing a little bit of everything.
It's amazing to me how many there are guys who run really fast on tour, but there's a lot of guys on the BPT and the Elite Series that run between 67 and 70 miles an hour, top speed, wide open.
Yeah, some are, like I said, the slowest one I know that I've heard about 64. But the 6, and that would have been unheard of years ago.
Yeah.
Nobody would have wanted to do that years ago. So in the last 3 years, I really think it's a 3-year trend. We've come to accept less. And there's some boat brands that just don't run that well right now to me. They're just not that quick. I mean, I don't mean run well, but they're just not that quick. Yeah. And they just aren't fast. And so, that's acceptable. And, I go back 5 years ago, it was unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so it's a change in trend, and the products that we're adding on the boats have changed that. Then we got the lithium story of guys thinking they need lead weights for lithium because I'm putting lithium in my boats. I got to add weight because I slowed down. Well, It's all set up. You just got to get the motor down and get it to where it bites. You take weight out of a boat and you can't raise the motor because the motor's already running higher again. You pull weight, you run higher. And so you need to lower the motor. And so you got to get the motor down, get it in the water, and get the prop where it's got bite. Any loss of performance is a loss of bite.
Oh, so that would explain why when I went with the Pro Guide lithiums, I now run my jack plate lower than I did when I had all lead at. Like when you find the sweet spot when it's like just the perfect
it's
little
lower
chop
in your last rig, right?
Yeah, you're messing with the trim tab and then the jack plate. I run it lower now where it's the sweet spot, and that's because of the less weight. So I'm compensating with that by dropping the motor.
Dropping the motor because the boat's running higher because it has less weight.
Okay.
And then you got
so I don't have to add more weight to it. I just have to
lower the motor. And the same's true for bow weight. These guys adding 3 graphs to the bow, putting a turret on the front and transducers. They need to lower the engine for the same reason because they've added more bow weight, so it's offsetting it. Now everybody wants to talk about fulcrum, and it's not an airplane. It's not propeller pulling. It's propeller pushing.
Okay.
So it's a totally different situation from a fulcrum of an airplane because people want to figure the fulcrum out and where is the balance point. A boat balance point's a whole lot different because you're running on a hookup off the prop. It's not pulling it, it's pushing it. So you wind up needing to get bite in the prop.
If you were to take one aspect of a boat, like whole shot, maneuverability, top end speed, what do you think is there a most important aspect? Like if there is one that in order to have a good boat, you have to absolutely have nailed, like, because there's some that I don't know if that's is that a fair question even, Rick?
No.
Okay. You see what I'm saying though? There's some that you can hear guys that go, oh, the whole shot on that, but like that boat's always got a good whole shot, and then other brands are known for top end speed, and then others are known for their rough water ability. Like there's not one you think that one aspect of it.
It all depends. So if you're just recreational angler may want the very best product he can buy, and he may want live scope, and he may want a 250, and he may never fish except when it's sunshine, pretty, and 5 mile an hour.
Yeah.
But you and I want a rig that can go run like we had at Santee the last time coming in.
Oh, dude, I've totally misjudged that.
Yeah,
Did
you're not the only one.
Oh, dude, I came out from behind that island and I looked at my collector and I only had 2 for 7, and I was like, I'm gonna be late, but like that could be points, and I was doing good, and I was like, when did this happen?
I knew it was doing it, and I told him we better leave. And even though I really didn't have anything, I said let's leave and get checked in. And there were several that ran way too hard trying to make it. And they were probably standing 4 and 5 foot out there in places.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the worst I'd seen at Santee, but it was bad.
It was bad. Are you enjoying fishing again?
It's kind of nice. I tell you, it's really nice to get your head back in it. It's hard to screw your head back in.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had to do that, and I hadn't. It's different than fishing at home, and it's really hard to get your head screwed back in it totally, because when you do fish at that competitive level, it is different.
Yeah. You're fishing the Southern.
Yes. Division 1, whatever.
Yeah, Division 1 is the old, but it's 3 tournaments. Like enjoyment, trying to win one to make the classic, all of the above. Like, what was the catalyst to jump back in? Because I know you fish. We've talked a lot about your fishing. You've told a ton of stories.
It's brand exposure now as much as anything. It's back out with guys, and I tell you, it's an amazing experience. I tell the guys to shop all the time. Unless you've spent 10, 12 days, 15 days on the road fishing tournaments, you really don't understand what these guys put these boats through. Because if you haven't fished, you can think you understand as a local angler and I fish hard. No, you don't. And that's not being me to any local angler. Until you spent 8 days away from the house and you don't have your tools, your garage, you can't call your buddy to help you. You're on your own.
And you run it every day. As long as it works, you go the next day.
You go the next day, and you make sure at night it's going back together. And then yourself, you're trying to do things on the road, and it's really hard to work on the road, as you know. And you start in the morning at daylight, you end up at dark, and you put it all back together that evening, and you get a few hours sleep, and you go back and do it at daylight again.
Let me ask you this: did they always have like the pit crews at the invitationals? Has that been a thing that's kind of been a?
No, that's been there ever since the.
Okay, so it has.
It's been there ever since.
This guy who's at all the open.
Oh, Jerry?
Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah,
dude,
Jerry.
That dude, I can't
Jerry
drive
Harris
past without him waving me down and going, "Hey, everything good?"
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you what the backbone to that crew that grew it. We hired a guy named Jay Stubblefield, that's local, and he's a Mitsubishi service tech.
Okay.
For Mitsubishi CNC machines. He could do anything in digital world, and he actually teaches at the college now. But Jay really kind of set our service crew up, because we hired a couple guys and put them in with Jerry and James under Jay. And he really gave them an amount of professionalism that brought them to the next level. And they didn't let themselves get in some of the local, and all this called the family dribble that the service crew have. Jerry doesn't deal with that. It's all about his product, taking care of it, making sure our anglers are ready to go tomorrow.
Yeah. He's given me like several tools where he's like, "Hey, you should probably keep one of these in the boat." And I'm like, "I'll get one." And he's like, "No, I've got a bunch of them. Like you can have like that 5/8 deal that you can tighten it, like all the little things." Always on top of it.
Yeah, and that's who he is, and that's what James was. And so, it's not looking to see if you've got a problem instead of showing up after it's there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what has really been good. And James kind of set them up with that, and Jerry and James both have followed up with it. So Jay did a real good job. We appreciate what Jay did.
Okay, I'm going to try to turn this camera around because we are staring, like we've talked about, at the #1 Bass Cat. And with everything that we have going on in today's world with technology, I'm going to see if I can get this thing centered. And then I want you to walk me through and walk the viewers through this thing from the 135 Merc all the way up to the Motor Guy. What is that?
I have no idea what model it is.
What's the thrust on that? 2?
It's a 12 volt.
Let me see if I can get this turned around here. I had it working before. There we go.
This is the Banger pivot cam.
Yep, there it is, right there. Look at that thing.
Yeah, that's it, dude.
So to start us off, talk a little bit about the motor on there.
That's an original 135 Mercury built in 1970. Dad bought it in the August of 1971 off of Ronnie Dierdorf. It was manufactured in 70. It has never been broken down on the power head. The power head was running when we got it in 2012.
What?
Yes, we paid Tom Smith in Florida to redo the power head and the motor. It's all refurb. If we had the cowling off, it looks just like the day we got it brand spanking new.
You had that off like right before you came on
Yeah,
the show.
I did. I took it off once today. Banger happened to be sitting here watching it. But it's got 150 pounds on 5 cylinders, 135 on 1, and it's truly operational. Tom ran it and set it up, and it's a good running motor. But anyway, it's got the 2-blade bronze prop on it, which was standard then. It's the 16-foot Bass Cat Deluxe Tournament model, which is 16 foot long, 64-inch beam. Big one, man. 64-inch beam.
Wow.
And so it's got the Lowrance flasher, which is a 1972 era flasher.
Okay, so I would have thought that would have had a paper graph on it.
They weren't out yet.
Oh, this is pre-paper graph.
Yeah, there were no paper graphs. This was all Ray Jefferson, Ray Jeff Electronics, the original Humminbird black box. There were others. Heathkit made a kit that was the original. A lot of guys ran Heathkits back then. Heathkit Electronics. You actually built them yourself.
Wow. So was that like, holy cow, this thing has a flasher on it?
Yeah, that was like the flasher at the time. And so that was the setup, was a Lowrance flasher, came off the green box.
And then I've never seen a seating setup like that. You have one on the driver's seat, and then it's like a
captain's chair. Yeah.
Captain's chair right in the middle.
The guys all sat down and fished.
Because there is no really like back deck, I would say.
Well, but they have a post that goes in there, and I didn't have it with us today, but you have a post that goes in there just like on your seating now. And so there is a post that actually goes up and elevates, but they actually sat down and put their arms on their armrest. And later we went to where the armrests were optional. You either ordered them or you didn't, and the guys didn't want the armrest. Then eventually they go to where, we just need a flush deck because we're going to stand all day.
But the pros would fish with that chair in the boat.
They would fish with that chair.
The top level pros.
There are pictures of people. Well, Bill Dance did his whole life.
Wait, Bill sat his whole life?
Bill Dance has sat down on the front deck his whole life.
I thought that was just a TV show thing.
No.
I know Guido Hibden has.
Yeah, Guido did some, but not really. Guido would use the butt seat a
So
lot.
Bill Dance, who has won.
He's won his share.
Yeah. Sat down with our
Sat
that
down
chair.
on the front of a boat. To
In-
fish. It
in
wasn't
all
his
Bassmaster
retirement. I'm in
events.
the TV show business. That's the way he fished.
I guess if that's what you're comfortable with,
Yeah,
that's
so
how
that
you
was the
roll.
way Bill fished, in the old days. And the motor guide trolling motor we got off a family out of North Carolina. The guy found it. That's a customer. It was on his brother's wall. I think Thresher was their name. I can't remember. Apologize. It's on the tag there. And a friend of mine, Rick Smesky, who his family builds hot rods.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had 2 years ago, they were on a cover of Hot Rod of the Year.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. But they build them right here in Mountain Home.
Yeah.
So they're here in Mountain Home. We good people. But Rick redid the trolling motor for me. And the trolling motor runs.
When was the last time that thing was wet?
It's never been wet since we redid it. The motor was run when Tom finished it, but it will not be wet again as far as I'm concerned.
Hypothetically speaking, do you think you could drop that thing in, crank it, and run?
No, it doesn't have a tank in it right now.
Oh, okay. That's a deal breaker.
That's a deal breaker. No, it needs a gas tank. This particular boat, when it was built with 2 6-gallon gas tanks.
So 12 gallons.
Yeah, so you put 2 6-gallon,
So
just
you have,
like
what, a 25
you pick them up
mile
and carry
radius?
them to the dock with you.
What, do you have 20 miles? You could run 20 miles?
No, you could run more than that. You could run about 40, 50.
And then guys started stashing the gas cans, and then they were like,
Well, the
hey,
guys
we
had
can't do
run
that.
3 in the back, and this is before the in-mounted tank days,
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you would fill your gas tank up, and then you'd bring it, put it into the boat, then hook the gas tank
Or
up.
gas it up in there, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there is nowhere to put gas in it.
Yeah, there was no fuel fill on them because you actually filled the tank. It's the carry tanks, the 6-gallon red carry cans. And that's what that boat was. It was 3 6-gallon carry cans what Dad had in at the time. And the back end's barely big enough for 3 6-gallons and 2 batteries. But you didn't run a battery in the back then because your battery's in the up front deck.
There you go. One of the cool things guys have been rolling through all through 300 teams, so 600 guys at least, closer to 700. The 350 teams probably, they all come through. They get to see the boats. They get to see the ones they can win with luck and win with skill, and then
Take your pick,
see the
yeah.
original one, all sorts of Bass Cat stuff. But one of the things I noticed I got here around 1 is 37 years later, you're still going up to every single person in here who's walking through this thing, and everyone's, hey Rick, and you're talking with every single Bass Cat owner and every single person in this tournament, and everybody has their Bass Cat jackets on and hats, and you talk about it being in 2024, and hopefully you can you can take a step back and appreciate the legacy that your family and that the brand has, and you can spend the next 20 years enjoying this aspect of it and talking to people instead of making sure that the tournament's running smooth.
Well, this is the first year to do that. I'm gonna enjoy seeing people. Somebody asked me yesterday in an interview what was the biggest thing I enjoyed about this event, and the biggest thing I enjoy about this event is the people.
Yeah.
It's about the customers. We've got a 94% loyalty over 30 years.
So that means that when they buy another
94%
boat,
of people
they
will
buy
buy
another
another
cat.
one. And so seeing these people, now that's going to go down on this year's study because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
COVID, we saw a lot of new customers. So we know that's going to change. This is going to be the first time in 30 years it's going to go below that. But that's because this year's study involves the COVID years.
Okay.
But
That
we've done
screws up
studies.
everything in the industry.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like, oh my
because
gosh, we're going. No, you're just incredibly crazy successful during those years because it was one of 3 things people could do.
That's right. People could go fishing. They could
Yeah.
go hunting. They were going outdoors in the RVs.
Yeah.
And it was big. But no, COVID changed that. But we've really enjoyed seeing customers. So what we see here, Matt, is customers that we've literally raised.
Yep.
I met a gentleman over here that is fishing the event, just bought a new Caracal SDS. He's here with his dad. And his granddad, I gave his picture of his granddad to his team partner last year.
That's cool.
So his grandfather's fished this. He doesn't really know his grandfather's because his grandfather's been gone.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's fishing this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've got 5 generations that have fished this event.
That's awesome.
So it's really amazing, and I really enjoy seeing the people who have come. We've seen them from the old kids flipping contest we had years ago where Eric would win it every year to Eric being a veterinarian and a dentist and, that type deal. And I mean, you just watch it all grow, and that's what I enjoy about it is the people that have been here year after year. And then we've got a lot of support from the area, and, there's some of them been here almost every year. One guy's been here all years but one. Customers that'll come in, they're the oldest Bass Cat customer. Probably will be here tonight, and he's been in a Bass Cat for all of the years of the company and when I was a kid.
That's cool.
And he's in his 80s now, but he's going to try to come. And he's got a Lynx, so he's got a good boat. It's not running a bad boat, but that's good. So last night or night before, I've been preparing for the presentation for tomorrow night. And I wanted to do an average because we talk about the big years, how big it was. So we ran a 20-year run from 2009 back. And since 2009 back, the pre-recession era, okay? This tournament over those 20 years averaged 632 boats.
Holy smoke.
Every year, all 20 years total, averaged 632.
Wait, at one time?
Yeah, one time.
I didn't realize it was ever that big, dude.
It was 796 entries one year.
Wow.
It was 786
and you
registered.
ran that? That had to be a nightmare.
We ran 10 flights.
That had to be a nightmare, Rick.
800's a line. I'll just tell you, having run it and done it. That's
Yeah.
why we had the bridge. We don't have the bridge this year, 300 boats.
Yep.
We didn't do the bridge last year, but the bridge, you get over 400 boats, the bridge becomes a mandatory thing because you just have to have a way for people to flow through cleanly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we got a checkout bridge for the morning and that, but we launch 80 boats in 10 minutes, do them in numeric order.
That's impressive.
And then you got another 5 minutes to set up the next flight to do 80 more boats.
Well, you got a bunch of people here, I'm sure, that are waiting around to shake your hand and say hi to you. I did want to mention, I do want to put my eyes on it. I had Brandon Belt on the show a couple months ago.
I missed that.
I knew he was
Sorry.
in a cat. No, that's fine. But I knew he was in a cat, and he was doing the Brandon Belt series that's taken
Sure.
off down there in Texas. But I didn't know what kind of cat he was in. So I just casually at the end was like, oh, what are you running? And he's like, a Jag with a 450. He got what he did. You got him in one of the big ones.
Yeah, I think he's going to flip to a 5, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, he might have been a 5 now. It was either a 450 or a 5.
Yeah, it may be a 5. I think he's got a 5.
He might have a 5.
No, he may have a 5. Either a 450 or a 5.
Yeah.
But it's
He said he likes
and he
to
had
go
a 400
fast. He said
before
that was
that.
like he likes to frog fish and
Yeah.
go fast. And he
Yeah.
said perfect.
Yeah, you know, he kind of likes speed anyway. He's got a McLaren in the garage, so
Yeah, there
he
you go.
fits the MO of that guy.
You can pick balls at first, or your clean field and ground balls. If you can hit them over the fence, you can get a McLaren at a 500 horsepower.
Yeah, if you can
Well earned.
play for a multi-million-dollar contract, you can do it. I sure wish he was still playing this year. I really wanted to see him run one more year, and I know that didn't come out.
Oh, what, like longest tenured first baseman there? I think 11 years in a row.
Yeah, and I mean, he's got an excellent career.
Great interview too.
Oh, yeah, he's sharp. Man.
Totally into the fishing thing, like not just a side deal. Like this is what his.
You know, they're partners down there in Tackle Attic.
Yep,
So I mean, they're going. Him and Brian, they got a lot going on.
they do.
Yeah, and it's good for Texas. It's really doing well.
So do you, but you also have some time to enjoy it this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to enjoy the people, and I'm going to launch boats in the morning, and I'm going to do a presentation tomorrow night, and I'm going to see everybody we see all the time. Got a lot of friends here, a lot of them coming and going. It's just a really unique affair. I think last year, we had people from 26 states.
It's half the country. If my math is correct.
Over
Over half the
Over
country.
half the country.
That's neat. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
for coming,
Thank you for
man.
the support too of
Always.
not only me and my quest in the opens, but also Bass Zone. Through the years, it started with I got to see you and Mark work together, and I would say two of the most, and I would say it if you guys weren't here, two of the most creative and innovative and passionate minds in the industry. And I think that's why you guys kind of hit it off. You guys don't think like the normal average person does. And I
Yeah.
think that's a compliment.
Well, I appreciate that. We don't want to put it in the box, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
Let's get it out of the box. Let's do something different.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, a couple more guys we're going to have jump on. Yes, take us out.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Rick Pierce, the legend. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Gamakatsu, the innovation leader in fish hooks, is launching Nano Alpha technology in 2024. Nano Alpha is a new finish available on Gamakatsu's most popular hook styles. It delivers 2 times slicker performance, 4 times better corrosion resistance. Nano Alpha technology makes the world's greatest fish hooks even better in 2024 to help anglers catch more fish.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Thursday, an afternoon edition at the Bass Cat Owners Invitational, right? I always want to say Owners Tournament, or what is the actual name of it?
It's the Owners Invitational.
The Bass Guy had it.
We call it OI. Makes it
OI. I got the battery guy with me. No, I'm just kidding. That's Matt Looney. What is your career? What is the arc of your career path look like? Because we've mentioned it before, it's public, but you're now in the Bass Cat portion of your career path, which is, I would think, pretty close to the top.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's been awesome. I kind of came into the fishing world. I was fishing the opens while I was working at Miss Hilty, which is an industrial tool and fastener company, and through that I had a sponsor that was Pro Guide Batteries, and that sponsorship worked into a job opportunity, which worked into, the product and development role that I was doing there, and did that for 3.5, 4 years. Great. Loved it. I've been on here several times talking about it, right? I ate up battery, like just the technical side of it, because it was something that people needed to learn and still do.
And that you had the mental capacity.
I had the ability to understand and try to teach.
Unlike me.
Absolutely. So it was awesome. And then come around ICAST, actually, a sister company to Bass Cat, Sea Arc Boats,
okay,
aluminum boat company. They approached me, and it was one of those deals where I prayed a lot about it, and it was like, man, honestly, I'm feeling led to do this, even though it didn't necessarily make a ton of sense, right? I was going from my role back to just being a sales rep again, and I even talked, just straightforward, talked with Peyton at Broken. Yep. I was like, hey, here's the situation. He's like, man, if that's where God's leading you, like, that's where you need to go. And so we did, and a couple months into doing that, I was at Correct Craft Corporate and got to know those guys very well, and they asked me a ton of questions, and the whole time it was like shaping up to this opportunity, and they're like, man, there's an opportunity we want you to look at Bass Cat. And so it's super cool, the process, and the back end on how God works through it all, because like we had just sold our house and we were building a house, so I didn't have to worry about having to sell a house to move to Arkansas, and they hadn't started my house build. It had been delayed for like 2 months, and so
you're right there.
Oh yeah, and it was just like so when I came
Mountain Home now.
Yeah, so we live here in Mountain Home, and so literally I came to the interview, and Cody's like, well, how soon could you move? And I said, tomorrow, if I had to. All my stuff's still in storage, like I'm living in an apartment. And so no, it was awesome, and it's really cool to be here. The opportunity, it was a lot of work. I'll say that, and it's a lot of work now. It's an awesome opportunity, a big role, and I'm excited. And
what is your role then? Like, what is your job
I'm the
title now?
Sales and marketing director.
Okay, sales and marketing director. So okay, I'll speak on this. You don't have to if you want. I would be intimidated coming into Bass Cat with the history of the Pierce family and the Bass Cat name behind it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weight behind that, and it's got to be interesting every day. We're moving into that because, dude, we just had Rick on. The guy hasn't forgotten anybody he's met in the past 50 years in the industry. He can tell them by name and their wife's name.
Oh, absolutely. He came up to a guy came up to him at the Classic, and he was like, hey, do you remember me? And Rick's like, oh, yeah, you got a white and green boat.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. And I'm
he remembers everyone's boats, too.
Yeah, he remembers everything, and it's awesome. And it was kind of a daunting task at first because, obviously there's a transition period in Bass Cat happening, and we love that Rick is an amazing part of that still, and to be able to continue to honor Rick and all the decisions I make, as the marketing side now, that's a big goal of mine is, we've got a great foundation set. How do we continue to move forward and continue to grow? And it's awesome. I'm really thankful.
And now you're the tournament director for this.
I got voted. There was.
You were out of office that day.
It was literally assigned to 3 people, and then I didn't attend one meeting, and then I was turned.
I knew that had to happen. I didn't know this thing had 780 boats in it one year.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you're dealing with half of that this year.
I'm only-
about
yeah, I'm-
350
we got- yeah.
roughly, because you
Yeah.
have some people, a couple hundred that come in
Yeah.
and register here. You have free
300, low 300s. So, but yeah, no, that's awesome. I got the bat phone, which is a nice flip phone. So basically, anything anybody needs, they call me on this. And
Oh, is that the tournament director?
the tournament director phone.
Oh, so that's not. So you're not giving out your personal cell.
Oh.
You're saying here's a tournament.
Yeah, this is.
cell
But
phone if
what
you
I'm
have an
saying,
issue.
I keep getting calls and stuff on this, and I still don't even know how to answer it. Like I feel so out of my element with a flip phone.
With a flip phone, that takes me back.
I'm too
You're
young for
way
this.
younger than me.
Too young.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Yeah, dude. I got a decade on you.
Yeah.
My first phone was a flip phone.
Yeah.
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 I mean, all it did was flip and call.
You T9 texting?
Yeah, I had it because my parents let me go down to the pond when I was like 10, the Rock Springs pond,
Mhm.
and like I called when I was ready to come home, or they had to check on me or
Yeah.
anything. So I like was the first of my friends to have the cell phone, but it was
Right.
strictly for fishing related only.
That's funny.
And there was no. Are you in charge of where the ducks went this year?
No, so it's one of our sales reps, Jason Brewer.
Yeah,
I
know
call him
Jason.
Hollywood. Everyone knows Jason, right?
Yep.
He literally drives around the lake, and they just kind of throw him out as he goes. Like he goes and puts.
So Jason's the only one who knows really, and the boat driver really where the ducks are.
Mhm. And sometimes he'll put them like up on a ledge, or he'll like. Jason has a lot of fun with them, right? And he doesn't know what the prices are. He just literally places ducks wherever.
Oh.
So you may find the easiest to find duck, and it could be the best prize.
Yeah.
And you may find a duck like tucked in a little hole, and
I
it's
just
like
thought of
a
something.
fishing rod. You know?
If you plan on scoping this deal, you ain't finding any ducks.
They're not finding any ducks.
No, that is a downside. The scopers are not going to be the duck ones this
Right.
year. Unless they're literally because you look at the screen the whole
Right.
time.
You're
So
looking
you're
down.
not looking for
You're not
ducks.
looking at a
You're in the
duck.
middle of the lake, and all the ducks are tucked
Mhm.
around somewhere.
Absolutely. No, and the thing too is, I don't think it could be. Listen, every tournament could be right now.
Yeah.
I was out there yesterday doing a warranty on the Yarcraft stuff, and I mean, every 10 feet there's a bed, and they've been that way for
Oh,
a
so
few.
it's going to be a good derby.
They've been that way for a few weeks, and they've all been little guys, and there were some big ones up on the bed yesterday. So this cool rain may push them off, but maybe not too far.
You're also fishing the MPFL
Yes, sir.
this year. Something that did you take a year off, or you had?
No, so it's been a weird deal. So during that transition period at the end of last year, I missed 2 events, and I finished the final event at Lanier.
Yeah, but then before that, you fished the MPFL.
Yep.
You fished
Opens,
Toyotas,
before that.
the
Mhm.
whole 9 yards. Our next guest, actually, we got Brad Fuller from the MPFL down
Yeah.
here, and we're gonna have him jump up and jump on the show
Yeah.
next. But I've always called the MPFL the cat with 9 lives.
Yeah.
And they always land on their feet, and it seems like it's rolling better than ever as you guys head to Hartwell at the midway point. I had Patrick Walters on the show last week,
Mhm.
and he loves the dang thing.
Oh yeah, dude, it's awesome.
We also won $500,000
Well,
fishing it,
yeah,
but it's
when-
hard
when-
not to win it when
When you're
do that,
Patrick
but-
Walters,
Yeah,
you love
I know,
the
but
MPFL.
anyway, it's as an angler, it seems like it just becomes more and more viable and rooted every
Yeah.
single year. And I've got zero affiliation with
Yeah,
them.
no, absolutely, and I have some, right,
Yeah.
because I'm an angler, but it's a great opportunity. And obviously, Bass Cat Boats came on as the official boat this year. We have some other industry partners. Yamaha is bringing a service trailer to our events now. I mean, they're not an official, but like
That's big.
there's other people supporting what we're doing, which is awesome. And it's such a cool league because it's a bunch of working guys.
Yep.
I mean, I think there's 8 or 9 elites in it, which those guys work too. They're fishing other tournaments while they're working, but they're still working. But it's a lot. Me, Kevin Rogers, the guy, like guys that we travel with. It's our release time. And because of that, I think that's why you hear Patrick, you hear John Cox talk about the culture and how it's a little different deal. It's not as cutthroat.
Mhm.
It's a lot to do with
Both
it.
John Cox.
Well, one John Cox isn't with us anymore.
Oh, he's not
fishing
fishing
not this year. No, he had some medical. He's actually one of the cameramen, so he's still
Oh,
around.
okay.
Yeah, but now we just have to have one John
At
Cox on
one
the
point,
list.
there was 2.
There's John Cox, Florida, John Cox, Georgia.
Yes.
So now John Cox, Georgia just drives us around.
Yeah. John
Drives
Cox,
the cameras
Georgia,
around.
messaged me one time saying, "Thank you for not referring to me as the other John Cox."
Yeah.
I was like, "No, you're both equal John
You're both
Cox."
John Cox. Yeah. Technically, he was the older John Cox. So
Yeah, so he should-
Al used to call him the original John Cox.
The OG.
Yeah. But no, it's awesome. And like I said, a lot of that has to do with just a hard work and the ownership same way.
Yeah.
Like Brad likes to say, I'm sure he'll say it if he gets on here, he likes to say he's too dumb to quit. And in a way that's true. Like they will fight for us. They'll fight for what they believe in. And it's awesome.
That's a good deal. What should people be on the lookout for coming from Bass Cat, or that's currently available at Bass Cat if they're looking to get into a used, a new model, the whole 9 yards. Anything on the horizon?
Yeah, so we had a spring promotion, end of model year promotion that went live yesterday. So all of our premium boats, whether it's 23 or 24, it's like 5,000 off right now, instant rebate. So there's a lot of that coming. Then we have model year coming up that'll be announced June 1st, and there's some really intriguing things going to happen there. So
wait, what does that mean? That means like when they announce new boats?
Yeah, 2025 model year will start June 1st.
You haven't worked here long enough for us. I apply you for like a little teaser, but I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I'll say this. It's not.
I don't really know.
It's not. There's not really a new model. There's some adjustments to some models, but there's a package coming that should be killer. So.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right. I appreciate it. I know you got a ton to do. Registration has been all day. You've been bouncing back and forth between the tournament registration here and the lake where the weigh-in's going on. Answer the flip phone. I thought that was just like, I thought you were just downsizing. I thought that was us on the flip phone.
I've got the Sega phone, but yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Brad Fuller from the NPFL. It's BTL on a Thursday afternoon from the Bass Cat Owners Invitational in Mountain Home, Arkansas. We'll be back right after this.
In 2023, we became a household name in the crappie fishing world thanks to Power Breaks, the game changer. Hey, bass fishing world, buckle up, because you're next. It's going to be fun. Welcome to the next evolution of our product line, Power Breaks Sidekick, designed to install right on your shallow water anchors. We are the first and only fishing brake company to offer a breakaway system. Just like with the Game Changer, the Power Breaks Sidekick has it as well. And it's not a matter of if you're going to need it, it's when. Power Breaks, the most durable fishing brakes available on the market today. Made right here in the USA with our rock-solid 2-year warranty. Hey, not all fishing brakes are built equally, and you owe it to yourself to find out why ours are different. Power Breaks Sidekick. Order yours today at mypowerbrakes.com. You'll be glad you did.
It's definitely a lot colder today.
Man, I really need to make this cut. I need to make up points quick.
Positive mental attitude.
I hope they stay where I found them.
Are they even pulling water?
Too far.
And I hope nobody else.
Man, it's too windy.
The water's too high.
Avco, keeping you comfortable on the outside, no matter how you're feeling on the inside.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back, BTL. On a Thursday, joined now by Brad Fuller of the NPFL. You actually see, you realize you're on BTL every single day, right?
Oh, yeah, on the Beat Down Outdoors.
Watch this right here.
Yeah, show them my 10 seconds of fame.
All right, yeah, they won't be able to hear us, but we'll run a portion of it.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer...
There you go.
That was it. So, man,
every day.
There's a story there within itself. Like, that was our Cumberland event, the one we canceled 2 days.
I remember that. And then you had the one where, was it Taylor Watkins who won that?
Yep.
In the back of the creek on the spinnerbait where, everyone thought
25 pounds.
Everyone thought it stayed muddy and it cleared up, and he went back and just crushed the largies.
Yeah. That he broke a lot of hearts that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But, yeah, that's where you filmed that?
Yep, at Cumberland.
Yep. Yep.
The beat down audio on that. Boy, we just really cobbled together this. So they didn't have any audio with it. It was just the music. So I just went on their Facebook page and media just like cobbled together what it was, and it was good. So then when they did the Elite Series ad that's running on Bass, same thing happened. They wanted to change the audio on it, and we're like, hey, how'd you get that? I was like, I don't know. I just like did it in 10 minutes. So that they were like, that has to be done like today. So I literally went in the BTL studio, just like recorded 3 or 4 different versions that I had scribbled on paper, and the next thing I know, it's running on the Bassmaster.
Yeah, I told I saw those guys at the Classic, and I was like, man, like I was surprised when they ran it on the Bassmaster live. I was like, hey, that was me.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's good stuff.
And I haven't been in a boat probably since I filmed that. So,
so you're here. Matt announced it. New partnership with Cat for the MPFL. Have to be excited. Matt mentioned some of the other partnerships that you have. I mean, you've got starting to get tournament support at the tournaments. Like this is the big stuff that you guys I think have been striving for and have been needed, and it has to feel good to see this happening with these big brands that are staples in the industry.
We feel like this is winning. You know what I mean? Like it feels like we're winning. Yeah, man. Like very blessed to have Bass Cat on board, and I think because of the relationship, like I really feel like we can help Bass Cat do what Bass Cat wants to do. You know, we got Tanner here this week shooting a bunch of stuff, like when we got into the trenches with Bass Cat and really sat down and talked to him, I'm like, man, it feels really good because I see the vision. Matt has the vision, Cody, Rick, you know what I mean? Like I feel like we can do what needs to be done and move the needle for them. Look, we think we can sell Bass Cats more. And if nothing else, like we started off with 7 Bass Cats in the MPFL. We run a small contingency this year, 5,000 to the highest placing Bass Cat boat. So those 7 guys run a tournament for $5,000 every turn.
Oh, so that's like an entry. 1 out of the 7 gets their entry fee back, even if regardless.
Every tournament.
Wow.
So now I think we're up to 16 Bass Cats.
Oh yeah.
So next year it's $20,000 to win the Bass Cat, $7,500 to the highest placing finisher.
Wow.
So if you finish in 50th, 60th place, but you're the highest Bass Cat, you're getting $7,500.
Yeah, that's smart. Some of the tournament organization have done that. You see the guys like who win a BFL and they get like $19,000.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
cow.
But I think again, who Bass Cat is, who, you know, with Rick and his dad, like all that lineage and history, man. Like just watching Rick walk around here. I was watching him and you on together on my way over from the weigh-in location. It's a pinch me kind of moment, dude. Like it feels good, and to be, and I was very adamant when I sat down with those guys. I'm like, look, man, I want to partner. Like I want to be in this with you. I want you. You know what I mean? And they were just shaking their head north south, and we came to terms on a 2-year deal. So it feels good.
That's neat. And then is this also where you're going to announce it with the partnership with Bass Cat? You're returning to shotgun starts? No, listen, no shotgun starts. I've been a big proponent. I think it's time we go back to shotgun starts at professional tournaments.
Listen, man, I thought Matt told me we were kind of want to talk about forward-facing sonar, so I was like,
God.
all right, for Matt Painterick, I'll do it. But no, it's man. Listen, we made our bones kind of being that outside the box.
Yep.
You know, shotgun starts a couple years ago.
I'm kidding with that.
Shotgun starts have been like, you know what? Let's talk about that.
Kidding, folks.
And but it's man, we're in that being kind of a pillar, being consistent. Right. Like we jumped around in the beginning, and we were it's kind of like a teenager, like you know, we're trying to find ourselves kind of thing. We feel like we've hit our stride. We know what we want. We know what's in front of us. The anglers are responding to it. 126 guys went out this year. We wanted 130, but didn't quite get there. Biggest fill we've ever had in the MPFL.
Guaranteeing 100K each win.
Guaranteeing 100K. You know, we're paying out about $485,000 a tournament across the field. You know, great championship. We had an awesome time down at Del Rio. That was another pinch me moment. I mean, that was something we've obviously been trying to get done for years, and to see it finally happen with that group of guys. I think there were 13 guys there that were OG. 13 of the 25
from the original. So the
group.
first year was 2020. 2020.
Yep.
This is your 5th year.
Well, this is our 4th year.
4th year already.
Yeah,
that's
year
insane.
4. Never. To be honest.
You said how many original?
13.
13. That's a pretty good percentage of guys.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And they to see the pride they had in it. You know, when you start to establish that culture, and you hear a lot of people talk about the culture in the MPFL, and, but to see the pride they had in that, like, hey man, like they've been in this with us from the very beginning. And there's only one reason we've gotten our 9 lives, and that's because I feel like we've been present in our business. You know what I mean? Like we're here every day. And that's why I was adamant about, I could have sent guys out here to set up the trailer and do a lot. It's like, man, like I brought one guy with me. We're here. We're going to be here all week. I just want to come see it and be here in person. It's a big deal.
I do want to talk real quick about this year, because one of the big buzzes going into the year was the number of big names that were fishing 2 tours, including the MPFL. I'll be honest, you talk to some guys and they're like, I don't think they should let Drew Cook and Patrick Walters fish it. You talk to other guys and they're going, absolutely, those guys need to be fishing it. That's fantastic for the league and the organization. You're approaching kind of, you're not even, roughly the midway point of the season. It's still early. You've got a bunch more to go. You're headed to Hartwell. 5 to go. 5 to go, headed to Hartwell last week, but you've got a couple under the belt there. Talk about what it's like with, I think Matt said, eight Elite Series guys that are fishing the MPFL this year, and how that's gone. Because from the surface, I think it adds a really cool dynamic to it.
Yeah, man. Listen, our job, and I'll be honest, man, and this may be a long-winded answer. So
no, that's fine.
But when you look at, like, I was a fishing fan when we started this. You know what I mean? Like, I came at this from a fan perspective, and I have found myself through some mentorship from Mike Como, who's the principal owner and the CEO, like looking at it from a business perspective. And I know that sounds, people are like, well, no, you know what I mean? Like you got, but I'm being honest with you. From the business aspect, it's great. Right. And because of the eyes those guys bring, like their sphere of influence and the people they have around them, they've brought them to the MPFL. So they've exposed our brand to more people. And the other thing, man, is if for my business, I want to field the strongest field I can. You know, we got labeled the working man's tour, not by us. You never heard us say that. It was like, hey, we just spread it out 6 tournaments. So guys who have full-time jobs and all that, they can do all those things, right? They can come fish with us. But listen, the Drew Cooks and the Wes Logans and Patrick and John, all those guys, right? Man, there's a lot of guys that they are so happy they're there because they're competing against the best. And for me as a business, putting the best field out there I can to garner the most viewership, to give my sponsors a return on their investment. Like, listen, I'll be honest. I don't think we want to be, I don't want half my field to be TTO guys, whether that's from any other organization, but I do want to field a very strong field. So yeah, man, it's been, and listen, they're the right guys too. Like, look, if those names you just named, they're good human beings.
They like to fish, and they're like, hey, here's an opportunity that I can fish, and I can fish 3 days, and I can fish for $100,000, and I can fish against a competitive field, and I can have more exposure.
I have a platform, right? Like it's we're building into a strong platform where guys can use that on their resumes when they're going to sponsors. And with our viewership as good as it's been the first 2 events, like it's growing exponentially, which is obviously what you want in your business, and that's why you're seeing people like Bass Cat. I think we're deep in sponsor negotiations for 25 already. I think we have potential to add some more, like, of the right ones. You know what I mean? Super happy with the progressives and the pro guys. Everyone who Baitworks, everyone who's been here with us from the very beginning. I think what Rick and the guys here at Bass Cat have done has started some of that domino effect for us. Because there's companies out there going, and they got progressive, they got Bass Cat, they get pro, like, and it's like they must be seeing something. So at least we're getting that interest coming, going, hey, let's have a conversation. And I've had a bunch of those. Like I drove 12 hours down here, and the poor guy in the truck with me, Billy, he's like, man,
those last 2.5 hours once you get off the highway are like white knuckle, aren't they?
Yeah.
You're one mistake away from 75
especially
feet.
With that 35, 40-foot trailer behind us.
Oh, you did a 40-foot. Oh, yeah, you brought the 40-foot.
Yeah, we brought the biggie. So.
You're like 6 inches away from someone not finding you for days.
Yeah. Be like, they were on their way. I told Michelle, I was like, hey, we're getting off in Rolla. We're headed south. If you don't hear from me, I'm between Rolla and Mountain, Arkansas. Yeah. So, no, man, all those guys, like, and I hope if you talk, I know you had Patrick on last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, last week.
Like, they just enjoy it. Yeah. Like, it's no BS kind of stuff, and it's they enjoy it. So that does my heart good.
MPFL heads to Hartwell in a week, little 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
And a half.
Yeah, 12 to 18.
Talk about kind of how you guys are doing the the live coverage, the pre-coverage, the tournament coverage on that. And I know we've got a lot of people on BTL that do watch or listen to it, but also you're still a lot of people out there that just see the results or the website. Talk about kind of your market strategy, how people can follow and watch along on that.
So we did up our game a little bit this year. So we have Ken Duke on doing all of our roundtables. Fat Cat and I were doing those.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we added Ken Duke. So Ken comes on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and interviews a couple anglers.
Okay.
He'll be actually at Hartwell with us. We're bringing him up. He's actually doing a little seminar for all the anglers.
Smart. He's talked about that for years, doing that with the bass guys.
We're going to turn him loose and let him give some of his knowledge on industry kind of backdoor dark alley stuff, right? Like, and
how to do it right, get the maximum amount of your dollar, what you should be doing.
And I told him, I was like, look, we're going to record the whole thing. If I don't get at least 3 or 4 good like social snippets out of that I'll be disappointed. So Ken does that on our roundtables. We run 3 what we call remote cameras. There's no camera operator. We just stick 3 remote cameras. The guys are mic'd up. It's a really cool camera setup where it looks awesome, but you get just to be on with that guy all day.
Yep.
The big thing for viewers, so on the Fixed TV app is what we're streaming on. We run what we call multi-view. So you pull up the Fixed TV app and you see every available stream we have running. So on day 1, it's only 3 cameras. On day 2, it's 8 cameras. And you can go on and select what anglers you want to watch. You can watch Luke and Fat Cat on the program, or you can watch an individual angler all day. You can watch multiples. You can watch all 8 simultaneously if you wanted to. Then you can select which audio you want to pull from. So, and then we do 8 live cameras on day 2, 8 live cameras on day 3. We got Luke and Fat Cat in studio. We're looking to up the production game for next year as well. Like, we're in negotiations with the production team on, I'll just tell you, like, I want the studio back on site.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, and we had some limitations in the beginning. I think we're changing up some of our streaming backbones. So I think that's going to maybe enable us to do some of those things. So we're looking at that stuff now. I'd love to have Luke and Fat. They bring so much to the venue when they're there. So that's something we're looking to do next year. But yeah, you can watch us all 3 days. We stream for the first hour or 2 on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
And then we kind of cut off there and say, hey, if you want to join us, come on over to Fixed TV and watch us over on Fixed TV.
And Fixed TV, for those, explain what that is, how people can watch it.
Yeah, so fixedtv.com, it's app-based. It's on Apple TV, it's on Roku, it's on Fire Stick. So if you have any of those platforms in your house, you just go to Fixed TV. FYXTV.
Yep.
Okay. And it's just like YouTube. It's just like anything else. It's just our own. It's fixed. They have Fixed Productions. They have a bunch of shows on there.
Yep.
But it's app based. I have it right on my phone. You click. It's totally free. We run an ad service where the ads run superimposed on the screen. We never lose live coverage, but an ad will pop up like in the lower right corner, and there's not even any audio on it.
What you're doing is a bunch of stuff where guys will be like, oh, it'd be nice if they did this on live, and you're like going, okay, well, we have the capability to explore with it to see if it works, to do it, as far as not taking it, as far as selecting which angle you want to say, as far as having commentary, not having commentary, the whole 9 yards. You're just going, all right, let's try it. We have our own league. We could try this stuff.
If you want to watch Patrick Walters all day,
then
you can do that. And if we're streaming our forward-facing sonar views, our Sonar Pro sonar view that we do with Trent and those
you've
guys.
Been doing that a lot too.
Yeah, we did it last year.
Is that hard, or is it just literally like a HDMI cable?
It's easy to pull the feed. The trick that we had to figure out was how to get it to look as good on your screen at home as it looks on the angler. So,
and then to make sure that like it's synced too.
So that it was easy to get the stream, the forward facing off of certain units into the stream. The trick was syncing everything up, and like when Trent had his at Eufaula last year, like, man, it was like you felt like you were looking at it in your
That was when you guys went to Eufaula and that bait was all real tight, and then the fish were SeaWorlding underneath the bait, and it was like the most perfect visual demonstration of fish going through sharking bait balls that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm live.
Like, I was twitching watching it. Like, I was like, God, I was like, you know, like people who didn't know that, like, that is the best that it will get. Like, you can't get any better than that, other than like watching an Easter egg follow your stuff in. But like when it comes to cool stuff on the scope screen.
And I think too, what we saw was the value in these guys like Trent at Sonar Pros who are doing the rigging, like that is the difference. Like if you haven't had someone do that to your boat, like it's amazing the quality of your screen and your display versus not having it fast. Like there's a bunch of guys doing that, right? And it's cool.
That is the deal now. Like, I mean, I did not have a free day like a week and a half ago, and I went up and had Scott jump in the boat with me, and we literally went out to his little lake and did not fish and just worked on what my screens look like, brought everything out, made sure it was in a degree, like it literally. It was more valuable to me than spending like 2 days on the water. He would stand there behind me and be like, yeah, I'm happy with that.
Dude, I say whether you're playing badminton, pickleball, baseball, whatever, the difference between at the very top level is razor thin, right? Like, and those are the little things that you're touching on right there, like transducer relationship.
Yeah, it was like a degree,
but you saw now you see the difference,
100%.
right? And we call that like the pancake effect. Like if that was the only thing off on your boat, just it's off a degree, not a big deal. But when you compound that with all these other things, then you get further and further away. And when people see like Trent and I'm trying to think Mike Corbusley had his active target on there, right? Like when you see how clear and pristine those are, they're not magically going in and changing something in the unit. It's all set up, 100%. So yeah, man, we're excited about that. You know, Hartwell, will it play? It probably will a little bit. So
you guys are probably gonna get some badass herring spawn.
Bro, we were just down there we had a corporate event for First Form, another sponsor. Yeah, and they were all up on the bank. Like, so I'm thinking,
it might be past that.
That far removed though, like. I hope the water, we're having this cool snap we're having now.
Oh, you'll sell like top water bite then.
So I'm hoping we get some of that, you know, magic top water spook action.
Silver.
Yeah.
With just,
or, you know, some of these new
herrings skipping out of the water.
Like some of these new fangled, like giant swim bait kind of deals and, you know, getting blown out of the water would be awesome.
I just saw, do you remember the original, the OG Seville Magic Swimmer? Like when Patrick Seville still owned it, and he was always at the tank. And
I cleaned a bunch. I found one of those the other day in my shop.
So I just found like 6 of the giant ones.
The really big ones?
Yeah,
wow. I never had any of the really big. I had like, what, the 6-inch?
Yeah, like
then
there's
like
standard.
Like some 9s.
That was the one that I found. So I found like a 8 and a 10-inch one. Like you'd have to throw it on like swim bait gear, but I am so tempted when it opens there in October to take that one that's like 8 inches. It probably weighs about 2 ounces and burn that thing over the cane. I promise you, no one's throwing those big giant Sevilles out there.
Man, there was some guys down there going around the bank because there was a high school tournament down there when we were there, and they were chunking like
big giant stuff.
Giant, dude.
Really?
Like when it hit the water, I was like, pow! I'm like, good grief! I didn't see him catch anything.
It was weird. Isn't it weird though? Like just a couple years ago, we were having a talk. Will a glide bait ever win a tournament? And it was like really split. A lot of guys were saying it. And man, now it is just such a normal part of the arsenal.
So Oliver and I, right, came to the Big Bass Bash probably 6-7 years ago and won it.
And then got kicked out because everyone got pissed. Because he's a YouTuber.
He's a professional. No, but yes, they lost their mind over that. But that was really. Like no one had done that on Lake Leo.
Yeah.
And he came there and like he's like, man, I just catch that one. He caught a lot. So I think it's more common. We'll be there in October this year, so I'm excited about that.
Trey McKinney was catching one on it just out in the middle of the floor. Like all those guys are just like throwing big glides. It doesn't matter what tour or where it is. It's like such a normal part of the arsenal now.
And it's crazy, man. Like but if you think back and Luke and I was just on the phone with Luke, I don't know, a couple hours ago, and we were just BSing because I was watching it rain. And he said, just think back, like, oh, you know, you didn't throw a jerk bait unless the water was under 50. You know what I mean? Like,
and you had 5 foot of visibility.
Yeah, but it wasn't that long ago, bro. Yeah. Like we're not that far removed from that. And now it's like all that's just been blown up, and these giant swim baits and all these things. And I know they've been doing that stuff in California for years, but you know, it's weird to see how it's playing on the professional level. At least in our league, you know what I mean? Like I don't get to watch a ton of the elites or a ton of BPT anymore, but it's playing. It's definitely playing in the MPFL. I can promise you that.
All right, last thing, and I know that you give equal opportunity and publicity to all 120 of your anglers out there, but I'll ask, so you got to answer.
Okay.
Give me a couple names of some either young up and coming guys or guys who haven't been mainstream yet, but who are immensely talented that we need to keep our eyes on?
So I've got 3.
Okay.
And I always hesitate to do this.
Yeah,
because,
I know.
You know what I mean?
I
but
know.
but there's 3 guys.
But I want to know for my.
Yeah. So the guy who finished second at Logan Martin, Brock Bila.
Okay.
So Brock Bila is with Baitworks. He's got his head screwed on right, man. Like he wrote an article for us. Like it was very well done. Like I expect big things from him the rest of the year. So young angler, he's a scoper. There's another guy from North Carolina, used to play arena football, Seth Ellis.
Really?
Yeah. He was at our corporate event this week. He's got his mind kind of right, I think. And then his buddy that runs with him had not a great event at Logan Martin, but he will be a factor at Hartwell. His name is Josh Hooks.
Okay.
And there's Corey Casey. There's so
that's what I said. When you start, you have someone, and like your job is to promote all.
It is, but I mean, and there's probably guys that I don't even know about yet, right? Because Logan was a weird deal.
I'm headed there tomorrow.
Yeah, it was kind of funky. The way they thought it was going to go, it didn't. I mean, Will Harkins, Mr. Live Scoper, went to the bank and won the thing on a crankbait. You know what I mean? So
it's weird how that's happened a number of times now since everyone said that the world is ending. There'll never be any fish not caught on it. And now it's like,
we have a big we have a big production group chat, right? Like as production's going on, and I'm like, and I really don't. I try not to look at comments while we're in the event. You know what I mean? But they're like, I'm like, man, people got to be loving this. Like, there's not a live scope to be seen anywhere, you know. But it was just enough of it from Brock to do that whole deal. Like that whole thing, man, it's consumed my life for the past 6 months, and it's just a tough deal. I don't know exactly what we're going to do or how we're going to approach it.
I've said it on BTO before, and you don't have to comment on it, but you guys are a viable third option as a professional league with a $100,000 payout, a $5,000 entry fee, people wanting in on it. So you've got MLF, Bass, and the MPFL, and it'll be very interesting in the next 12 months. In the next 6 months.
6 months.
It has to be less than that because any league that makes anything has to do it as soon as the year is over because most of the leagues start in January, and you have to give your people that are in that league a fair amount to say, hey, do whatever you want with it, or hey, these are the limitations, so you can change, you can remove, you can make it legal on what it is. So that's like in October, November, December.
We don't stop fishing till October 26th.
Yeah. So
now I will be setting my field for dude. We have a different set of kind of limitations that we have because of the timing of our season. Like I'm going to be filling my field before my season ends.
Yeah.
Right. So I go and I look, hey, of the 126 guys, how many know you're not coming back? 3 may say, hey man, I just can't do it again. So I've got 7 available spots. I want to go to 130. I've got 4 plus the 3. You know, I'm going to fill those up, and buddy,
they're probably going to want to know, hey, what are we going to be able to do? What are we not?
That's it before I commit. But I will tell you that that's kind of changed a little bit, Matt. Where in the beginning, it's what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Some guys like, hey man, I don't care what you guys do. I believe in whatever it is that you choose to do will be. We've earned our stripes in that regard, that they understand that we got a business to run. Like, big surprise, this is all a big business. You're running your own angler business. I'm running 100%. A business. But we can also make good decisions that benefit both of us. Yeah. And that middle ground on that is hard. Man, I don't know. I wish, and I'm not being disingenuous. Like, it's a tough nut to crack. But I think when you look at it from the business perspective, like, you know, I'm not willing to do something that's just doing something just to say we did something if it doesn't have a real impact, right? So, you know, that's
it's interesting because they all three, like, you could have one that says Wild West, you could have one that says nothing, you could have one that says limited, and that's what I think everyone's thinking. Like, I mean, it's going to be very interesting and very passionate.
And that's the thing. It's an emotional topic.
Yep.
Right. So I really try to, when I talk to guys, and I talk to a ton of people at the classic about it, and dude, their guys' veins are popping out of their neck and they're tearing up, and I'm like, hey man, like, really try to remove the emotion from it.
Yeah.
Because none of us are like no one's trying to hurt each other.
And I don't think anyone knows what the right answer is.
Well, here's the thing. There is no right answer.
It's all subjective.
But what if I threw this at you? I believe, I don't care what any 3 of us do. right?
Yep.
MLF, BPT, Bass, us, whatever.
Yep.
I don't think the angler pool changes as much as people thinks it would if no matter what each one of the three does.
Hypothetically, League X says no forward-facing sonar.
I don't
League
think-
A says have whatever you want. And League B says there's limited. You don't think guys move from League A and B to C, or guys from C go to A and B, or
I don't think that's reality.
that's interesting.
Take a Patrick Walters. Is Patrick going to if they ban forward-facing sonar? Is Patrick going to pack up and leave the elites? Absolutely.
No, he'll stay there. Then he'll just use it on your tour, or
right.
vice versa.
So I just and I use Patrick as an example, but you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't feel like it's that big of as big as what people make it out to be. I'm not saying there wouldn't be some,
and
but
from the beginning of time, if there's one thing that bass fishermen like to do, it's complain.
buddy, listen. I hope my wife's watching this. Like we could have a show just on that. We'll definitely have to have some beers because I've got stories that would blow your freaking. And I know you've been in it, but dude, it's amazing the things I hear on a daily basis, and I love them all.
Fishermen will find something to complain about. I think it's because you spend so much money and then 14 hours out on the water by yourself, so you have time to really get fired up over it and then think over it and think over it and think over it. Then you've got all this driving time that other people have, so then
windshield time.
So then you've got this guy who, and statistically, you win. Like KVD won 13% of the tournaments he was in. So statistically, I win 0% of the opens. So you've got all these guys who are pissed off, who have 12 hours to drive. And it is just
and when you put two of those together, they're like grandmas. They multiply,
100%.
right? Like, and then they get a three-way call going, well, you know what? Let's just call Brad and talk to him about it.
Hey, wait to hear what so.
Yeah. Did you hear this or did you hear that? And half the stuff is just not true. Like one of the guys today said, hey, when are you announcing that you're banning forward-facing sonar? And I'm like, bro, that's news to me. Like, I think I would kind of know that, right? And he's like, well, I heard. I'm like, well, now you're hearing it directly from me that we have not made any decisions as regards to anything like that. So.
No,
but yeah, wild. Dude, you're interesting because you're talking about the timing of those. Like, yeah, it's got to happen because boats are getting ordered.
Yeah.
Like there's.
Well, it's the same for the opens. I mean, I would assume whatever the opens do, the elites do. We end the open season in October, and then if you start in January, like you have to know, hey, I've got to take 2 transducers and a graph off this boat, or my new boat I need to make sure, or whatever they end up with.
What about the guys who qualify under one set of rules and are going to fish under another set? Like a guy who qualifies out of the opens with forward-facing sonar in effect, and then if there's restrictions or banning.
Yeah, that's like Steph Curry going from Davidson to Golden State, and then they're like, yeah, we don't have a 3-pointer in the NBA. Like,
it's out of here.
Like, what your value? And it's not that he's not an NBA talent, but that's like
that's his forte, right?
That's it. It's an interesting.
I think for the people at home to understand the dynamics and the fluidity of that environment that we operate in with sponsors and the business,
and we didn't even talk about the sponsor side of it.
And anglers, right? Like. I have an obligation to go to Rick and Basscat and go, hey guys, we're partners. If we truly say that, like, this is what we're thinking about. What do you think about it? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that if they stand on their desk and say we're absolutely against that it wouldn't still happen, nor would they do that.
The levels of impact that goes down, because let's hypothetically say you go and they go, well, our new model accommodates
right.
4 screens up front, so now we're with a league that is designed for all this, and you're saying you can't have it. And then it goes down before that with the electronics company, and then that electronics company goes to a mount company, and then it just goes all the way down the line.
It's a beautiful thing to kind of set where I am sometimes, because we've got Basscat, which we're very passionate about protecting our relationship and all those things. But do you feel like, because you and Mark been at this for a long time, do you feel like this is going to self-correct? Like, because there is a point of diminishing return on, hey, is 10 enough graphs? Is 7 enough graphs? Like, I feel like that's going to self-correct because there is a point of diminishing return on.
Here's the thing, though. I would 100% agree with you. I said I was doing someone else's podcast, and I said that, the market will determine when enough is enough when they come out and say, hey, look at this, and everyone goes, yeah, no. But you're assuming that there's X product, and we're trying to pack how much we can put on the boat. The product changes.
Right.
So if the product's always the same, I would agree there's going to reach a point where a guy's like 7's too many, and then it would Correct. But when it's always changing, you're always going to have more stuff put on because there's always going to be a bigger graph or a better transducer or more powerful or clearer screen and all that. And then the thing that I just did is the FOMO. Like I have massive FOMO in the opens. Like
Right.
I am to the point where I'm just like, tell me what it is.
Right.
And some of us won't do anything. Like the dude who just went on the Arkansas River,
Yeah.
who will go out and he'll flip his bug and hope there's one next to the stump.
Right.
But 90% will go right up to what it is. They'll do it. They'll tweak it to where it fits with them, but they won't go to the tournament going, damn, I wonder if I should have put another graph on. And once you know what it is, that's when I think it'll self-correct.
I say this too, man. Like every angler is not built to process that much information anyway.
Yeah.
That was my point,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
100%.
like we were talking about it, like the simple fact of how you use all this stuff. Like, listen, I'm pretty tech savvy. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in a very technological environment in the military, and I feel very comfortable with it.
Yep.
It's still a lot, bro, and it's you know what I mean. But here's the other thing I will say is from a price point standpoint, I feel like the market will correct itself, and I think what we're going to see from some of these boat manufacturers is we went to the one edge. Like I saw 100. Did you see the Boat at the Classic? The Yoder had
89,000.
Yeah.
Icon.
Yeah, and I'm like, now I think what you're going to see is back to the, kind of the.
And Cat's always been good about that with their those mid-level working man models where you can get in one with a good monthly payment with the Pantera 2s, and if you want to go up like we were talking with Brandon Belt where you can slap a 500 on a
Jaguar
Jag and spend God knows what, like have at it.
I was talking to Matt about. I was like, I really need to look at it, get in a Cat, blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't really need a bass boat, but he's like, oh, he sends me a picture of the red one sitting in the shop. It's the Jaguar with the 500 on it. I'm like. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I need here in Southeast Ohio, Matt. It's a Jaguar with a 500 to rip up and down the Ohio River on it. But
you'll catch your 7 pounds
and be like ecstatic, like I just busted a 30 bag on Santee. So I heard you guys had fun on Santee in the open down there. That got up a little bit there on the.
Oh yeah, dude, it was rough. And then on top of it, it was like the final ride in on the second day. So I was just taking an ass kicking on top of an ass kick. It was just a double ass kicking, which really did it for me.
Yeah, and then you get the what? What is
Plus,
that?
I wasn't exactly sure like my angle to get to that. So then half of it was kind of puckered because all I knew was like I was 50 yards over from where everyone else was going in. But I thought I was going right from. I was just.
Did you run the poles and like? Did you go through the?
Well, I just meant like where you come from the island to get to the poles.
Gotcha.
Like I did not run that correctly, but I made it. But no, I went and pre-practiced that and everything. Like I flew down, I practiced for 3 days for a 163rd place finish. It was humbling. It is. That's why we love it though.
Man, those ass kickings, like the callousness that puts on your body.
Yeah.
Because how hungry are you to get to Alabama?
I am.
Get the stink up.
I'm very hungry.
Well, dude, why don't you just go win one of those things and make the
I'm
classic?
gonna try. I mean, I've also put perspective into it, right? Like, so this is a business plan for me. I'm not 190. I'm not 200% in on it. I'm 100% in on the business that includes the fishing. When it's fishing, I'm 100% in on it. And then you also have the perspective with what we're doing with St. Jude. And then Miles calls me from practice and was like, dude, I'm gonna go home. I think my daughter's got the flu, and then comes back, and then it turns out she's got neuroblastoma, and then that, like, the thing that you're pissed off that you came in with 2 on the second day, like, really kind of corrects itself when you realize what.
I know we probably got to come up on it, but I'll tell you a quick story. So I was fishing a Costa on the Arkansas River at Dardanelle.
Yep.
And brand new boat, put it in the water, practice. Me and my co-angler go running up the river. I found some good fish, and I was just juiced. Motor shuts down. So I was having a throttle position sensor was going out. I just didn't know it, right? So
is that close? Is that the same thing as a shift actuator?
Yeah, it's something like that. And I said that I could run a mile or two, and then it shut down. Run a mile or two, and it shut down. So I was same thing.
Worst thing that could happen.
Went over there, stayed at practice, blah blah blah. And he said, well, bud, he goes, I know you're upset. He said, but at least you don't have cancer. And the way he said it, I was like, so on one of our shutdowns, I was like, hey, man, what's the story behind that comment? He goes, I found out 2 days ago, man, that I had cancer, blah, blah, blah. Dude, I was kind of mad at him because he took all that hate away from me like that, right? But dude, the rest of the day, you talk about perspective.
Yeah.
Like we just enjoyed the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And but man, I try to. That's something we try to impart on the anglers and the MPFL is, hey man, you're not going to win. You may never win. There's other ways to get joy out of what you're doing out here. And if it's a fist bump for me or a kick in the butt, whatever that is, like we make ourselves present to make sure that we're kind of tending our garden with the anglers and all those things, right? Like some of the guys just want to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, tell me the 17-pounder you lost today. Again,
We had a guy on one of the deals. It was the one where everyone was in the reeds up north.
Oh, Saginaw.
And he said something like, "Oh, my family's watching, and I know I'll never be on camera again, so I'm just going to enjoy today." And I was like, that's a dude. Like, listen, I understand there's top level, but when you talk about, like, enjoy life, like, that dude enjoyed the hell out of his day. He had his camera. He knew his wife and family and all that were watching back home, and that was like winning the classic.
And dude, when you hear the guys talk like that, right? Like, and you see the sincerity and you hear it in their voice, like, the one thing I'm most proud of, man, and you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you, is that we've given an opportunity to some guys who would never have gotten that opportunity before. The platform we built with the streaming and being on TV and all those things, like, to see the guys have that opportunity that, or they just wouldn't have gotten it anywhere else. I'm really, really proud of that. And we've brought some really hammer anglers to the world that you knew existed, I knew existed.
Well, there's some that, there's a bunch of guys that like started on the MPFL that I was like, oh, this guy's good. And then you call up your buddies and they're like, yeah, he's really good around here. And I didn't know about it.
And I think
on the radar.
I'm excited. We took a different approach to this season. We got Hartwell starts in 2 weeks, and then we run 5 events out through October.
Yep.
I think you're going to see another crop of those anglers kind of.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is like the smartest schedule ever.
We
one a month is so doable.
We and the time we're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Like
one a month. You get pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, summer,
and everybody's
tree,
like,
summer, fall.
We're going back to Saginaw again. Yep. Like at a different time. Finishing on. I think the sleeper tournament for this year is going to be Lake of the Ozarks in October. A lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be so tough. I'm like, clearly you really don't understand what goes on there if the conditions set up right. I lived there for 8 years, so I'm very, very, very familiar with it. I'm excited about kind of going home in some regards to Lake of the Ozarks.
And that's really the only time you could do a Lake of the Ozarks. You can't do it in the summer. You can't do anything that even remotely.
We could do a night tournament there this summer.
You could do a night tournament. You just, what is that? I have smashed him at night outside of the Lazy Gator. Dude, like there was get this, there was a foam party going on at the Lazy Gator. And me and my buddy Darren and his kid were in his Legend, and we were out there just murdering them on blue fleck worms, on biffle heads, like right outside the Lazy Gator, you
can enjoy all the entertainment, and
you could hear the music and stuff, and then right where the light started to fade, you just cast it up on those rocks and start slowly in that worm, and it would just go.
We fished, like I predominantly fished night tournaments there. The 8 years I was there,
they chew at night like insane.
It's funny, man. So I went down there and fished one. I moved from Florida, right? Did a few night tournaments in Florida, not a ton. I go up there, top water world, throwing buzz bait, throwing a clock at night. I'm like,
I've never done that.
Yeah, well, don't, because I didn't get a single bite. Like, I'm like, I go in and I'm asking my buddy, I'm like, dude, he's like, what are you doing? I told him, he's like, yeah, bro, that's
a big jig and a worm.
Like, he's like, you need to be in the piles at night. I'm like, what? Sure enough, like. It's just.
Do you think they hit it harder at night, or do you
100%.
think? Wait, listen. This is my theory. Do you think they hit it harder at night, or do you think your other senses are so dulled that your sense of feel is much stronger, so it feels like they're smoking it?
No, bro. I don't even hesitate. Like I don't know what it is or why. I think there's some theories, and a lot of the guys around there, the locals, talked about it with all the boat traffic and how much noise and how much.
I think they hyper feed when it's.
I think they absolutely tie it on at night. The bait settles, it's easier to hunt. They're in their element in the darkness, and the bait does what the bait's supposed to do. It's not getting beat around on. Because dude, you've heard those docks down there. It's like,
I fished it down there.
And it's
the 4th of July down there in a big boat.
It's
not fishing.
It's the craziest place I've ever fished in my life. in fishing day tournaments in the summer.
The other thing that's crazy is every single breakwall on that lake has at least one bass on it. At least one school of bass that lives there. Now, a lot of them might be that big on some of them, but every single breakwall has a school of bass on it.
Guys are always like, hey, where can I go? I was like, dude, any breakwall on this lake has a catchable bass on it. Anytime, any part of the day, anytime.
Most likely not a keeper, but
you can get bit.
A lot of times they're also, I love breakwall.
I will tell you, there are times down there when the bigs get up there at certain times of the year, and you can.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's 8,000, literally 8,000. There's 72,000 docks on Lake of the Ozarks. I think I looked it up.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, if you don't like to fish boat docks, stay home.
It's a good time. All right, we're going to wrap things up here. Dude, I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
We'll take our final break of the show. When we come back, we will wrap things up. It is BTL on a Thursday. Brad Fuller from the MPFO. We're here in Mountain Home, Arkansas at the 37th edition of the Bass Cat Owners Tournament. We will be back.
Yes.
Fishing isn't just a hobby, it's an obsession. Whether it's blazing hot or bitterly cold, bright sunshine, raining, or even snowing, someplace, somewhere, there's a fish that's ready to bite. And as the angler, you need baits that will catch the fish anywhere, anytime, no matter the conditions. From throwing topwaters to cranking the depths, know the baits to throw. Choose Spro.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting Beatdown Outdoors.
It's definitely a lot colder today.
Man, I really need to make this cut. I need to make up points quick.
Positive mental attitude.
I hope they stay where I found them.
Are they even pulling water?
Too far.
And I hope nobody else.
Man, it's too windy.
The water's too high.
Avco, keeping you comfortable on the outside, no matter how you're feeling on the inside.
All right, welcome back. Final segment from the Bass Cat Owners Tournament. They're going to get some weather on Norfork this week, so I'm sure Matt's phone is going to be very good. Guy I have sitting next to me, Cody Blair, president of Bass Cat Boats. Is it Yarcraft in there too, or is that?
Yeah, Bass Cat and Yarcraft.
Bass Cat and Yarcraft. Like I said, we had Rick on earlier, and all of the history that goes behind Bass Cat and this kind of mountainous region of the country, our mountain home. Talk a little bit about kind of your background, your experience, and like I asked Matt, how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, awesome. I'd love to do that.
Go that just a little closer right there.
Closer.
There we go. Yeah, I know.
How's that?
I know. I'm a stickler for the mic.
All good.
No, you're good now.
Want them to hear me. So I grew up in Cotter, Arkansas,
okay,
on the White River. My dad and my grandpa both guides on the White River.
Trout.
Yes,
like
trout.
The long boats?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So for people who don't understand, explain what those boats, like they look like this keyboard right here, basically. They're long,
they're
narrow,
a flat bottom, long boat for trout fishing. Usually powered by a 10 horsepower outboard.
And you can go in that deep of water with it.
Yes, yeah. Jets are really popular on them nowadays. But,
so grew up in it.
Grew up in that, yep. So Cotter, Arkansas is just right down the road here from Mountain Home area. Then in 2007, moved to the Little Rock area. Got married and went to school for accounting and became a CPA in Little Rock. And my wife, after we had our daughter Kinley, she's 10 years old today.
Okay. Oh,
after we
happy
had
birthday.
Yeah. Well, she's 10 years old now, not today, but anyways, after we had our daughter, my wife was wanting to get back home. She didn't like the city. So she started looking for me for a job. And right after the acquisition with Correct Craft back in 2015, the Diesel, Rick's sister, she had been in the business, obviously, her whole life too. She was ready to get out, and she was doing the accounting and financial side of the business for the past few years. And so I applied, and they hired me. And so I took over all the financial side of the business, and then in 2019 promoted to vice president. And I think Rick finally had enough of the corporate world or aspect of it. And so when he was ready to take a step back last year, promoted me to interim president. We went through kind of a year transition, and then officially this year, January 1st, became president.
Okay, so you're officially 4.5 months in.
That is correct. Yes. So the last 9 years have been quite a ride.
Nice. Now
it's been fun.
You're a glutton for punishment because of the CPA and the numbers and all. Like that's the opposite of what I am.
Yeah.
But fortunately, that translates good to business. Fishing wise, do you enjoy getting out on the water, bass fishing, or more behind the scenes office stuff, running the company?
So both. I mean, I enjoy both. But I'll say I didn't have much exposure to the bass world prior to working at Bass Cat.
Okay.
So, being a CPA, prior to that, being in that world, I was an auditor, tax prep person. But so I do like doing behind the scenes and just making sure everything's running smoothly, and love processes and that type of stuff. And when I can find time, love fishing.
Nice. What's your biggest bass so far?
It was a 7.5 in Mexico, actually.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah. I just went to Mexico this past December. Hadn't been down there before. Totally forgot how aggressive bass could be. It's amazing how hard they will hit a bait when they haven't seen it. Because you fish around here with all the pressure that the lakes get and stuff, and they are like piranhas down there. Yeah. Top water or worm?
Both.
Where the 7 come on though?
Oh, I'm sorry. Rattle trap, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That was a trip I did with Rick back in 2017.
So you've been around the owners tournament for 10 years now. So this is old hat to you, but really cool experience for the Bass Cat owners. BTL has 14, 15 different sponsors. I would say there's a lot of loyal customers for a lot of our sponsors, but when it comes to people who bleed for a certain company, and these are people who come in, they spend their hard-earned money on a product, a service, Bass Cat Boat. There are more loyal, lifelong Bass Cat owners than any other company that I've been around and worked with in the industry. These guys love it. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have people come up with it. I've had a cat since 93, and then you go through all the different models they've had. They show the pictures of them. So it's really cool to be a part of that. And then I guess you're running the show now too. So to know that loyalty, but you've seen that loyalty over the last decade.
Yeah. So I would love to say that it's been an honor to come into this world, and coming into what the Pierces have worked so hard to build over the last several decades is just it's really amazing to see just the following, and some people call it a cult following, and I totally understand that now because it really is,
it is
true. I mean, it's just true. And we get people that just they love the brand so much that we got a guy helping us at registration this year. He's like, I just ran into Rick at a boat show, and he's like, I want to help. And he's like, I just love the brand. I've nerded out about the brand for years, and I just want to go help. And he said, call Marty, and she'll put you to work. And he's here just volunteering and helping with but that's the kind of family, the kind of customers that we have, and it's really is just an honor to be a part of it.
Talk about kind of the future. You could do 6 months, a year, 5 years out, bass boat market world, Bass Cat related. what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I would like everybody to know that we have a really strong focus right now on internal processes. And, one thing that's important to me is the quality of our product and continuing that and making sure that we continue to have the best quality on the market. And the best product offerings available as well. So our team and the people that we bring onto our team, and Matt's new to our team, as you shared with the group earlier, and it's really key that we have the right people on the team to make sure that we progress forward with innovation and product. And it's really important part of our plan is that Rick's still a part of business and that he's helping us with product development and creating new product and bringing that forward. So, but we're focused on, bringing new product to market faster, testing product in ways that ensures that our customers and end users have a great experience when it gets to them, cleaning up those processes, things like that, quality control, internal in the business. And once that boat leaves our doors, we want it to be perfect. So that's the focus.
I will say in the 7 years that I've ran one, never had a latch break, and I've never found a bolt in the bottom of or a screw at the bottom of the boat that I picked it up and went, I wonder where this goes. Yeah. And those are two things that I think a lot of bass boat owners complain about are I run hard and I end up with mystery bolts and my latches break. So I appreciate you coming on. I know you guys have a really busy week, but also a really cool, really fulfilling week. You get to see customers go out the door on a daily basis at the facility, but to get them all in one place where they're laughing and having a good time. Like Rick said earlier, you're giving away Puma.
That's correct.
Raffling off the Puma. The winner gets, what model is that one, do you know?
That's Bobcat.
The winner gets a Bobcat, and then you've got the ducks on the water and cash payouts for it. I have not been to an owner's tournament yet. It just hadn't worked out. So when I was talking with Matt and he's like, hey, do you want to come and jump in on this? I was like, heck yeah, because I'd heard so much about it. So I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for jumping on BTL.
Absolutely.
What's the rest of the week look like for you? Like, what do you get to do? Just stand back and monitor, or like, is it stressful for you, or is this an easy weekend?
Well, it's not as stressful as it had been. I'll say that.
Okay.
I used to run around and just try to do everything.
So now you have people that run around and do the everything.
Yeah. We have an awesome team, and really proud of everybody on the team and everything they do. And it gets a little bit easier each year. So it's been great.
All right, that's it. Holy cow, I think we might be on the longest BTL of 2024.
All right.
So we set a record at it just over 2 hours. So, all right, guys, that's all we got for today. I am headed back to Oklahoma, picking up the Cougar, and then driving it to Alabama for the 4th Bassmaster Open EQ of the season. Here's the cool thing, though. I've been telling you guys that we're working on getting a remote studio set up. I actually have the setup here. This is Jeffrey's stuff, but this was the first run. I didn't want to tell that to Matt, that this was the first run with the actual mobile studio and setup. So I'll go back and tweak it, but I will have that also on the road next week. So we will be running live shows from the house with Blake and Andrew and whoever else I can get from the Opens to come in. So there will be evening shows next week to kick off the last week of April and then the first week of May. Not the regularly scheduled 8:30 a.m. shows, but viewer feedback, the instant feedback, the live, all that is still going to be up and going. So I think that's all we got from Northwest Arkansas. That was North Central Arkansas. Good luck to all the guys who go out and catch them.
Yeah, they're probably going to be a little wet. As long as we don't have any storms, we're okay with that.
Yeah, that works. Good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, this has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. Monday evening, next show, we do have a recorded show next Thursday for Frank. That will run at 8:30, but check the website, basszone.com, or the YouTube, BTL YouTube, for when the shows will be next week. All right, that's all we got. See ya.